quick. It was like 2 minutes earlier than yesterday.
All right, we're up and rolling. Not quite as cold as it has been. At least we got to see the sun yesterday. No? It's even colder over there, Bill? You're already fighting me this morning? First seconds?
It's 31 degrees.
Right? Right now?
Yeah. Right now.
Okay. It hasn't been in the 20s for us? It's only been in the 30s?
It just feels like 28. It's not warm this morning. I'm sitting here looking out. It does not look particularly warm. And apparently now it's calling for more rain today. 70% this evening.
Yesterday was definitely warmer.
Yeah,
that's all I was trying to say. That's what I should have said.
Yeah, yesterday was an improvement. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. And I think this weekend is not supposed to be. Oh, I'm looking at it now. Yeah. But next week we go 60s. Next week looks like we start a.
Yesterday was not bad at all. I was walking around in a t-shirt yesterday. It was fine.
Whoa! Not outside, were you?
Patrick,
what were you doing outside?
No. Patrick doesn't turn his heat on, all right? I don't know if his opinion counts. Like, he is clearly an Eskimo who is really just able to handle this a lot better than most people in South Carolina.
No, I still get cold. I just bundle up more. I just stay in my house bundled up.
But yesterday you actually made an appearance? Did you see your shadow? What happened?
Well, it was that Tuesday. It was Mardi Gras. I was just having a big send-off, so I went up to Popeyes.
I was gonna say, the last time we left you were gearing up for one final day before Lent. How did that go?
Yeah, I got some beignets at Popeyes. That's pretty much what I did. I just got a ton of chicken and fries and mashed potatoes and ate it for 2 different meals. That was my send-off.
Yeah.
So now here we go. Now it's
true. You giving up fast food. I was wondering. I was like, wait a minute. I don't remember that on the list of things. I don't remember fried chicken or mashed potato. But not fast food. It's fast food. So
yeah, just all of it.
Yeah. All right.
Happy Ash Wednesday.
And now again, what are you giving up for the next 40 days?
I'm just gonna do all like chocolate or sweets. No dessert for the next 40 days. No fast food.
Okay. No desserts.
Not that I really drink it anyway. But
so basically, for 40 days, you're going on a diet.
Essentially, yeah.
No desserts, no fast food.
Not really, because I will make spaghetti.
Okay.
Things like that. It's not going to be just full on.
You could make yourself some fried chicken.
I could, but I definitely will not.
Really?
Yeah. I admire the honesty there.
That's kind of a process.
Welcome to the early game this morning. Live stream. Got a new sponsor, Buford Lending, sponsoring the live stream there up on YouTube, Facebook, all over Twitter as well, and the station handle there. Appreciate you guys being a part of that. We already have this KT up with us early this morning. Yeah, he's our new Ron from Lake Marion, I think, giving us a good morning, guys. First thing on the live stream. Appreciate that, KT. 803-404-6100, the usual Cool Care Heating and Air text line up and rolling as well. Danny already says, I agree with Patrick. Yesterday was nice out. T-shirt weather. The whole Patrick seeing his shadow crossover jokester 6 a.m., Anonymous Raj says. I actually thought that was good. Well, thank you. Thank you, Raj. Good to hear from you this morning. Last night, not a ton going on sports-wise, especially for us when we saw the Gamecocks game get pushed back to tonight. They're going to take on Tennessee in Knoxville. Trevor Lawrence did have surgery, but it is about as minor surgery as you can have. Of course, that's always when somebody else does it, but the labrum surgery on the non-throwing shoulder, not expected to have any kind of impact on his draft status or NFL future or anything like that. It only pushed up him throwing, I guess, the other day at Clemson, maybe a couple of weeks, and pushed up the timeline from that standpoint. SEC basketball, we can give you some updates on that. It looks like not necessarily. When I see Georgia beat Missouri by 10 last night, it sums up SEC basketball from the Gamecock perspective pretty well, doesn't it, Bill? That team that Carolina just absolutely throttled at the Colonial Life Arena, took out a team that they didn't look very good against the Gamecocks when they went to Columbia, Missouri, and Missouri will come back into the Colonial Life Arena this Saturday.
Yeah, it's a topsy-turvy league right now. I mean, look, anytime I think you see Kentucky being, what are they, 6-13 now?
15.
50. Yeah, just something ridiculous. But you're right. At home last night, Georgia 80-70. And more importantly, it was the second half. Did you watch that game, or did you? I mean,
did not catch any of that. I see Georgia scored 47 points in the second half.
I was flipping back and forth between that and a few other things. And Missouri was up at halftime, and it was kind of one of those things you thought, man, Georgia's played about the best half they can, and they're still down 4. And I flipped back over, and Georgia made a big run and ended up pulling away there. But that's a Georgia team that's gone on the road and beaten Auburn in recent weeks. Another team that we saw throttle South Carolina here in Colonial Life Arena. Georgia's, I kind of give up. I am interested if we get a March Madness, and I do think we will. I just kind of after almost 12 months of just never knowing, I feel hesitant to say that anything particular is going to happen. But I'm kind of fast. I think it's throw a bunch of teams in a hat, and you're going to turn them loose. I don't think there's I was thinking it was Gonzaga and Baylor had separated themselves. I don't think that I think just in a one-game playoff with anything that can happen right now, the bubble Final Four in Indianapolis is going to be an absolute insane event with just upsets galore. Who knows where we end up in Final Four?
Well, just because somebody can beat them doesn't mean that Gonzaga and Baylor haven't separated themselves. I mean,
in the regular season,
neither have lost.
In the regular season, I agree with you, but I think you always knew that. I've always known that since the really good Duke team got beat a few years ago here at Colonial Life Arena. We know that the NCAA tournament is a different animal. When you have that Duke team with Zion and RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish, who'd they end up losing to? Central Florida? Is that right?
I think that was an almost loss, Bill. They ended up losing. Yeah, they lost in the next round. Okay. So they got taken to the brink by Johnny Dawkins and his son and UCF and Taco Fall, but survived that one. They didn't survive the next round against Texas Tech. And the other SEC game last night, Arkansas helps improve its postseason resume. 11-point win against Florida. 9-4 now in the SEC. Arkansas is. Bill, you had Kentucky pegged right, by the way, there. The other SEC games tonight, they play at Vanderbilt. They are 6-13 on the season, not 15 like I mentioned. And Carolina will have a late game, so it's a 7 and 9 o'clock slate on the SEC network tonight. The Gamecocks with that late 9 o'clock tip. We'll have 8:30 airtime for you right here on 107.5 The Game. Frank Martin with some interesting comments ahead of time after a few interesting days for sure, where the Gamecocks were supposed to play last night. Ended up getting pushed back to today. Carolina had to end up taking yesterday off. Originally had scheduled today off, so maybe that had Frank in a not so good mood during his media comments yesterday. But want to play some of those for you as we continue to roll on this morning. Also, love to hear from you and your thoughts. 340-46100. Hit us up on that live stream, like I mentioned, on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, up and rolling. The station handle on Twitter at 1075 The Game. I'm at Tim Hill 1075. Bill is at Will Country with 1L. Patrick's at _Patrick Perrette, and at Jen Jensen Morris, where you can find Jen, where I'm seeing orange on the live video stream
this morning. Huh?
There she is. She was all covered up. I was wondering, I didn't think we allowed that on the live video stream, that color, but especially from Jen. Now we got the bright smiling face in the studios. Downtown Columbia is where Jen is holding it down in the Herndon Chevrolet studios. So we're just getting warmed up. No pun intended here. It'll take a little while for Bill to get warmed up. Sorry if I made you angry, Bill. It's not warm enough for you. You need to turn up the heat, Patrick style.
Actually on the phone app, the Weather Channel phone app, I don't really know how this works, like whether it's measuring it at the airport or whatever. Within the last 9 minutes since we started, it's somehow gone down a degree and now feels like 26. So I don't know where it's getting, where the weather app is. Like if it pulls from the airport or or what location when it says Lexington, South Carolina. So it's getting colder.
That's how we start this morning. I'm pretty sure that's how it works in my garage for sure. At least you have the heat turned on at your house, Patrick. You're still yet to turn it on at your place?
I don't believe the heat's on right now. I don't feel anything. I'm wearing a sweatshirt though because it's still cold in here. It's not like I don't get cold. I just don't like to spend money, so I bundle up inside.
We will definitely feel warmer on today's show as well. Going to talk some baseball with Carolina hitting coach Stuart Lake in the 7 o'clock hour, and just thinking some baseball thoughts will make me feel a little bit better for sure. That's how we start this morning. Thanks for being a part of the show. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
All right, that's our one little gunner wide awake.
Morning, Carl. Let's see what did KT hit us with here. Just with the Lumberton, North Carolina, huh, Kevin? Welcome in from Lumberton.
Where's that?
Down east, I believe, not too far from the state line. Does that sound right, Kevin? Oh, no doubt, Justin. The one on the feet does me well. Got another one here on the table. I still haven't turned it on. It's a little loud. The heater in the garage. But it's worth it to have a separate area. You don't have to hear crying babies in the background. That's probably best for everyone. Newberry Chris wants to know what your thermostat current temp is, sir. You got to go out to a different room to get the thermostat? How much?
61.
61. Acceptable. Totally acceptable.
You must have had the heat on at some point for it to be 61. Yeah, where's some of this cold? So you got about, you play video games about 20 minutes. Okay? Well, hey, go ahead and get 5 2 on. Well, exactly. Come on. You getting up to eat? Okay. I'm gonna come wake Angie up in the next break.
Let's see what. Oh, 3-week-old Justin. Woo! Congratulations, man. Appreciate it. Oh, thanks for reminding me about setup. All right. Tape's falling down here. And have the golf towel falling down when you live stream. It's just unprofessional.
Yeah, gotta be prepared every morning.
Kevin just says 33. I'm guessing that's the degrees in Lumberton, North Carolina right now.
That sounds reasonable.
And Jen, it looks like you're working on the Frank Martin right now. And you got somebody on the horn while you're typing. Oh, she's juggling like crazy. Morning, Dottie.
Really?
Oh, yeah, now let's listen in. Not that Jen does any talking in most of these conversations.
Way too many people call in just to talk.
Can you call to talk on a sports talk radio show?
Off the air, they're talking
Yeah,
though.
they don't want to get on the air.
Benson, North Carolina. KT's got 34 degrees. I don't know where Benson is. Is that? It's not up near Raleigh, is it? Let's check this out. Let's zoom out.
Find it.
I've got it. I just need to zoom it out here. Keep coming out. Still nothing. Ooh, it's east as well. So Fayetteville was the first one I saw that I recognized. Oh yeah, near Goldsboro? Sure, that's the homeland for me.
Alright, so go back in. I do have cups 1 and 2 so far.
All right, Jen, let's play one of those, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Ricky.
I got a minute and a half, my bad.
Let's do number 1 coming back, and then we'll probably do 2 as well.
Doing both Cutlass and Twitter and the chat here.
Whatever works best for you. It's cool with me. Yeah, I saw Daniel Bonds was doing some weather for Texas. I'm guessing their station out there is down because of all this ice, and he's popped up his forecast. It was all single digits.
Oh.
Maybe it was current temps or something. Maybe it was lows for the day. I don't know. But it was single digits, maybe a couple of teens out there.
I am getting to the point where I am just grizzled every day. This has gotten beyond no fun.
See, and I saw that, and I took the same tact as Daniel did, saying it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, it hasn't been bad here.
So number 1 coming back, Jen? You good? All right, Frank's going to be on the horn here. Frank Martin, part of his meeting with the media yesterday, and I would say not in the best of moods. Not that would surprise you after a 3-game home losing streak and now heading to Tennessee, having to push your game back one day. And yesterday was asked how he took advantage of that extra time. Said, no, I couldn't do anything. They're supposed to have a day off, a NCAA mandated day off per week, and it was scheduled for today. Originally, the day after they were supposed to play, and because that got pushed back, so yesterday ended up being a day off for them, so not necessarily more preparation for a good Tennessee team. Now, the comment you just heard from Frank, not getting the most traction out there, was asked about comments to kind of clarify comments he made earlier, just talking about not feeling the best, and this was about a month ago. And you'll hear Frank, I think, reference the date of January 13th, or January 18th, excuse me, not feeling well in the whole thing. And so he just asked if he plans on coaching basketball next year. Wanted to let you hear what he had to say on that one. Jim, this is number 2, I think, in front of you. Frank Martin talking about if he's up for coaching basketball next year. Frank's talking about going 15 rounds with Mike Tyson. Says he feels good, felt terrible back in January 18th.
I had no energy. COVID beat the living snot out of me. But don't get that kind of twisted that I'm looking for that. That's all I know. And all of those work, I just want to keep my coach. So I feel good. I'm in the weight room again. I'm ready to go. I can't wait for practice every day.
Sorry.
Now January 18th, I feel really good.
Carolina coach Frank Martin ahead of tonight's game at Tennessee. Krista just hits us up on the live stream and says, if Tennessee is ranked, we will win. Good morning, guys. LOL. Oh, good news for Chris. Tennessee is ranked 19th, I think, going into tonight's game. And it's in Knoxville to add to the challenge there. Bill, what do you take away from what you heard from Frank Martin about how he has felt, how he does feel now, and his future?
Well, I mean, I can't. I have not had COVID. For a year, I've not gotten it, so I can't speak to the impacts it has on your health and how you feel. I know people that have gotten it. I know people that have had very severe cases. I know people that have kind of been able to breeze through it. I don't know if we know everything about what's happened inside of the basketball team. Frank Martin's been very open and honest about what's going on with him. And so when he says all that, there's no reason not to believe him. Again, I know people who've had some very severe cases and ended up in the hospital. I know people who have lost taste and smell for a week or two, and at the end of it, they feel perfectly fine and have had no lingering consequences, at least to date. So I certainly can understand where he's coming from, and I do. The Frank Martin that I think we all know, whether you depending on regardless of how you feel about his job performance, you know that he's invested in his kids and he's invested in the game of basketball when he's healthy. I think Frank is a guy, y'all would all agree, Frank is a guy who wears his emotions on his sleeve. Whatever Frank Martin is thinking, we're going to know. There's no hiding any emotion with that guy. If he's got a problem with you, he lets you know. If he's happy with you, he lets you know. If he's got a problem with his team, he lets you know. In that situation a month ago, he was shooting straight from the heart and telling us how he felt at that particular time when he talked about, maybe thinking about opting out, or I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but how he was describing his feelings at that time. So what he described yesterday on February 16th, I believe Frank Martin to be an honest stand-up guy, and I have no reason to believe what he's saying is false or just trying to combat the narrative that his time is coming to an end here. I think he's being honest, and the bottom line is people want to see him win, and it's going to be extremely tough tonight. We've kind of buried the lead here as much as that was. South Carolina will be without two starters tonight. Jermaine Couisnard and Justin Minaya have been ruled out, and so not only do you play a pretty good Tennessee team that's athletic and get up and down the floor. I know that Couisnard's not played well. We discussed that yesterday, but certainly he's capable of having a big night for you. He's out tonight. Justin Minaya, who's kind of your glue guy, is out tonight. That's going to make it extremely difficult.
Ankle injury for Jermaine Couisnard, head injury for Justin Minaya is what Frank Martin was saying yesterday. And that was, if you listen to the media Zoom call at all, that was kind of how the tone started. Frank didn't offer this information. He was just asked for an update on Jermaine Couisnard, and that was the first question, I think, out of the box. Couisnard's out, Manaya's out. And so you got two starters out of your lineup. He was asked what he plans on doing, and he says he's not quite sure. Didn't well practice, I think, is how he put it. And I would assume, Bill, I don't know about you, that you insert Jalen McCrary and Keyshawn Bryant in there. Maybe you want to go smaller. You throw another guard in there, put Trey Hannibal or TJ Moss or somewhere in there instead of McCrary and bring him off the bench. I would think you got to put Keyshawn Bryant in the starting lineup and play him more minutes. Just cut down on the rotation, basically, is what I would think the logical play would be. That might not be the best move against a pretty deep Tennessee team that will stretch you for sure tonight. You mentioned the matchup. It is not a favorable one, especially when you're down two starters.
No, not when you're down two starters. The athleticism with which Tennessee plays, and they're another team that has length. And so with those two things, when we talk about a team who can get up and down And then, Josiah James, who is originally from the state of South Carolina, was down at Portugal, is a guy that can make things happen. Is really kind of starting to come into his own. Has had some very good games. I saw some ridiculous stat. I'm not going to go back and look it up. It was just the plus minus. I think of a game recently where his stat line itself was not crazy, but the plus minus when he was in there and the positive effect he's having on that basketball program was something like 30 plus 34 or plus 32, something in that ballpark. So Josiah James, the sophomore point guard, is coming along very quickly for them and doing some really good things. Then you've got Jaden Springer, who is the 5-star recruit, who now is really picking up his game. But Tim, you look at it, 7 guys that average 27 minutes. They don't have a guy who plays more than 29, and in that group, everybody plays at least 23. Keon Johnson is the guy who plays at least. I mean, this is a very balanced basketball team. They got one other guy who comes off the bench and plays 10 minutes. So it's an 8-man rotation, but they do it in a very balanced manner.
And what did they get up to this year as far as rankings? I think they got close to the top 5, if not in the top 5 at one point, didn't they, Bill?
I'd have to go back.
That makes sense to you? No?
Yeah, I don't know if they got that high. I feel like close to the top 5. I think they got to 8 or 9. I don't know if they broke close to. But those early season basketball rankings to begin with on a regular season, Tim, are some of the most meaningless rankings I ever see. So you very well could be right that back in December they might have worked their way into that area.
Well, recently they're 2-2 in their last 4 games, including a loss at Ole Miss where they only scored 50 points and got beat 52-50. Their last game out at LSU, they lost by 13. They got a road win at Kentucky in this stretch and a home win against Georgia. Kentucky by 11 points and Georgia by 8. And again, Georgia a 10-point winner last night in a game that'll make you scratch your head against Missouri, who comes to the Colonial Life Arena this Saturday. So making sense of SEC basketball, not an easy task. Patrick, when you heard the comments from Frank Martin about his future, how did you hear them, I guess is the best way to phrase the question.
I think he just wants to probably get out of this season and get out of this year, not get out of basketball altogether. I mean, we can look at him on the sideline and say he looks stressed, he looks tired, but I mean, I can understand him saying that basketball's all he has and all he knows, and you hear that from a lot of guys that reach this level. I mean, football coaches basically you see a lot of football coaches coach in their 70s, and because all they know. I don't know, like we talked about Nick Saban, like how old is Nick Saban, like 71 or something like that?
No, not quite 70.
What, 60, 68, 69?
I think he's 69 because Steve Spurrier,
right? Okay.
Steve Spurrier is still the only SEC head coach to coach into 70, and I think Saban's right on the precipice.
I didn't realize Saban's birthday is Halloween. He'll be 70 years old on Halloween.
Right, so some of these guys just don't know what to do without their sports, and Frank Martin is just a basketball junkie, and you can hear him talk about the NBA, and you just know that. So I'm not surprised at all. Having COVID twice, I think the whole year is just warning him. I am with him if he just wants to get out of this year and keep it moving, because it's just been a ridiculously frustrating year, and I think he needs a couple of months off to just reset mentally.
Let's let you hear a little bit more from Frank. Travis hits us up. Facebook Live says, I'm not saying keep Frank or move on. My question is, I believe we're 9 years in, and at this point, does the administration really believe the program is trending in the right direction, or has it peaked under Frank? Well, to me, that's a bit of an unfair question. Having gone to the Final Four, there ain't much place you can go beyond that. And clearly, beyond any wildest imagination, that run back in 2017. So if you're just looking at that, if you're looking to get better than that, it ain't going to happen. You can only win 2 more games than Carolina won in that run. Now, going to the NCAA tournament and doing it consistently, I think, is what most Gamecock fans want the program to get to. And that maybe would push the program at a higher peak from a consistency standpoint than the 1 year that we saw in 2017. So from that standpoint, I think Travis is very fair. Frank was asked with these last 5 games now if he had a message to the Carolina fans who are frustrated right now. This Q&A coming during the Zoom call yesterday with Gamecock Central's Colin Taylor. So just ask the message to fans by Colin, and Frank gives his answer. I don't think he liked the question.
In the previous 8 years, we're able to practice normally. We ended up every season in a place where even in the beginning, outside of my first year, we either finished with a good record or we were playing the best basketball year.
And before we continue discussing that, wanted to let you hear the rest of Frank Martin's answer there. And Patrick, I think this is to your point about what a unique season it's been, more from Frank here about the message from fans down the stretch and this year in general.
It's a crazy year. I mean, I wish I could give some more explanation as to why this is happening and whatever. If people are going to be concerned about our inability to win this year, wow. I don't know how this particular year can be highlighted in different ways than all the years prior to this.
So interesting thoughts, I think. Bill, what do you take away from what you heard there from Frank about not just how he feels and the feeling much better now, ready to go back in the weight room and feeling good, and then to me, I heard a little bit of what we heard from Will Muschamp in the season, asked about moving forward, and he was talking about, well, we've won here before and we plan on winning again. He was talking about the previous 8 years. I do think it is significantly different, is probably the best way to put it, for the basketball program versus the football program because of all the COVID issues and the stops and starts and not being able to get into a rhythm. But I don't think fans necessarily want to hear that from Frank at this point. What about you?
I think that the frustration from the fans is not about this year. You guys would agree. I think Patrick has summed it up really well the last few years where we'll go into a season. This has happened, I think, Patrick said, it happened the last 3 years where we sit in the studio in like October and like, man, basketball season's here. It could be a really good year. And you go like, yeah, prove it. Just prove it. I forget your line. You always seem to like, I'm not getting fired up. Where's the hype this year that hadn't been there? And what I feel like is this is what happens when you lose. And I know they're older losses, but I think you guys would agree with me. When you've seen losses, when you've seen inconsistency, losses to Stony Brook and Wyoming and Stetson and Boston, and last year you're on the cusp of getting into the NCAA tournament and you lose on the road at Vanderbilt. I don't know if I think everybody really likes Frank Martin. I think they'd be willing to give him a pass on this year. The problem is if you just watch this team, and I agree with him. I do agree with what he's saying, but the problem is if you watch this team, it doesn't feel much different than a usual South Carolina basketball team where there's some really good wins and some mind-blowing losses. The difference is maybe the defense, because of COVID not being able to practice, is not there in the same manner. I think that's a very fair assessment. But to me, what you've got here is a team, as a program that is actually having the most success it's ever had, or it's had in 40 years over a period of time, but the success is still not really there. I mean, it's still not there. Yet last year they would have gone to the NIT, and maybe they would have made an incredible run in the NCAA, the SEC tournament. But I think that's what you see right now is a program that has gotten to above 500 on a consistent basis. You can't argue with the results in SEC play, where 4 out of the last 5 years have been above 500. That's never happened. Obviously this year it looks like it'll be below 500 as we sit here today. But people they want postseason appearances. At least Dave Odom was able to kind of hang around because of NIT berth. South Carolina hasn't been able to get many of those. Maybe people feel a little bit different, Tim, Patrick, if South Carolina gets into the NIT last year and makes a run, gets to New York City. Do you think people are more tolerant this year if they'd have seen
this season goes down like it has so far? No.
Yeah.
I
don't
think the biggest, I don't know, maybe slightly, but this has been just a disaster.
I think it would be the opposite. I think people would have expected that next step, Bill, like you've talked about many times with those Dave Odom teams, or the first Dave Odom team that won the NIT back, 15 years ago now, and then the next team does the exact same thing, and I think it just became almost laughable at that point to try to expect positive momentum in the program, or you had to laugh to keep from crying maybe if you're a Gamecock fan.
And why would next year, we've all taken the L on this year basically. I don't think most people really care how this season ends. But what are you taking into next season right now? I mean, if AJ Lawson goes pro, that's the only player that's given you any sort of consistency at all this season. And so what are you going to hang your hat on next year? Alonzo Frink's coming back, so it'll all be turned around and we'll be good next year? I mean, that's not going to happen. You're not going to go in next year and say, well, we've got our guy in Jermaine Cousinard because he's been bad. I mean,
it would be
what do you do?
Keyshawn Bryant. You would. I understand what you're saying.
That's not enough. I mean, to really feel.
But here's
good.
the thing with next year. And this is to your point. What you're saying is not wrong. You can't. It's hard to look at next year because you don't know what Seventh Woods is going to be. What is he going to do? Is he going to let you come back and would he make strides being in the program for his third year? Keyshawn Bryant, we assume, would come back. You're right. Could Cousinard step forward? What does Jacoby Wright look like next year? Just Trey Hannibal. I'm with you on that. Next year, you don't. This isn't a young team where you feel like another year and they continue to develop. It's really hard to grasp what this basketball team would look like, and I think that bothers people too.
Chris hits us up. I guess this is Root Hog. He wants to be called Root Hog. We can do that, I guess. Sounds like Big Frank's going to have to use Gamecock Larry as the sixth man tonight. Anonymous texter, Frank cursed us with his shaved head. Todd, the Alabama fan. This is the first non-obnoxious Alabama text he's sent in a while. So I'll give him a little more leeway than typically I would. I'm not trying to sound like Gamecock Larry, Todd starts. I'm not even a Carolina fan, but I will say I appreciate and respect what Coach Martin is doing. I think Carolina needs to hold on to him. He's one of the good guys out there. And with teams like North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, Blue Bloods not having good years, it looks like they're not on the rise. I would say in the next couple of years, South Carolina may have a real good shot at doing some big things. They've got good players this year, but this year was different. And again, I think Frank Martin is one of the good guys out there. I hope Carolina holds on to him. This is, I think, the crux of it. How much do you hold coaches accountable for results in a COVID-affected season? We know that the answer was in football. And how many of us gas-baggy, hot-take guys out there are saying, I think this year is going to be a pass. I think coaches are going to get a pass this year because of all the COVID stuff and the economic implication and the whole thing. And Muschamp doesn't even make it through the year. Now, I understand basketball has been impacted, at least from the outside looking in, a lot more than the Carolina football team from just a COVID standpoint for sure, Frank Martin specifically. But I just don't know at the level that big-time basketball is at, college basketball. And when Frank says the previous 8 years, if, 4 out of those 8 years you go to the NCAA tournament? 2? I get it. And Papa Joe hits us up and says 2016, the NCAA tournament committee screwed over Carolina, so you shouldn't hold that against them. Should be 2 NCAA tournament bursts. He said he agrees with Patrick, and maybe after a few months off this year we'll be able to put it in the rear view and move forward, and says that Frank's an excellent coach. It's very difficult to win at South Carolina. All of those things, very true. But how this thing continues to evolve, I don't think any of us really know at this point. It's interesting to hear Frank's comments yesterday ahead of heading into tonight, where it's certainly not going to be easy. And Travis says Rick Barnes' teams have always been a thorn in Frank's side, similar to what Frank does to Mike White, and that does seem to be how that matchup has gone through the years.
Just an interesting stat, and this is why I think South Carolina has now posted 6 straight years of 500 or better records. 6 straight years. You guys want to? I mean, it's a relatively easy answer, but you guys want to ballpark the last time that happened?
There's no ballpark. Is that what you're telling me? What was it? Frank Martin stretch. I mean, Frank McGuire stretch.
Yeah, and it included 1 year of Bill Foster. South Carolina's gone 6 straight years with 500 or better basketball. Last time that happened, and it was that was a much longer stretch because that was Frank McGuire's run of excellence. South Carolina posted 500 or better records from 1966 through 1981. So it was obviously a long, extended period of time. Bill Foster was the last year of that, 17-10, and then that streak was broken in 81-82 when they went 14-15. I think that's some of it. You try and balance. I think the question here is basketball history and trying to build a program versus what expectations are, and that's where I think it gets very interesting in this discussion. And I can understand with people that are upset that you haven't seen more of a development. I kind of side with Frank Martin on this 1 year type deal, and then I also side with Patrick that if you looked ahead to next year and you felt that something was really great was going to happen, that would make it easier to get through this year. But I don't know if you feel that next year is necessarily going to be any different than the 17 and 16 seasons, or last year's 18 and 13 season that we necessarily have seen.
Do you not think that this next year's team will probably be one of? I would almost argue it would be the worst since the Final Four round.
Next year's team?
Yeah, no. I just don't know.
No. That team the year after the Final Four.
Okay. Save the 1 year after. In the last 4 years. 5 years.
Well, I don't know what next year team is going to look like, but to answer your question, if Seventh Woods is back, if Jermaine Cousinard is back,
we have to go off of if AJ Lawson leaves.
Let's pretend he leaves. Let's go with what should happen. If Seventh Woods comes back, if Cousinard is back, if Keyshawn Bryant is back,
you just married 2 guys that have been bad.
Okay, but I've also seen him be good.
That doesn't mean that's how it's going to be next year. But
it's going to be serviceable.
He had a solid stretch. Jermaine Cousinard was a good player last year as a redshirt freshman. Doesn't mean I get it. He struggled, but you can't automatically project just negative stuff moving forward because
we project. Well, this will be the best team. This will be the best team. This will be the best team.
But
next year's team will actually be worse than this year's team, and we can say that for the first time in the last 4 years.
But this year's you don't know what's going to happen. I'm not saying that next year's team will be the best South Carolina team I've seen in 20 some odd years. But I also don't think that some dumpster fire of a basketball team where 10 wins is unrealistic. I've seen worse South Carolina teams.
A lot in between there.
Well, but that's your point. I get your point on what you're saying. Is next year's team better than this year's team? I don't know. Is the sum of all the parts better next year than what they got this year? Possibly.
No, I think, Patrick, maybe if you're just talking about from an on-paper roster standpoint, projecting forward right now, I get what you're saying. I think that's as far as you can take it, though. You guys can continue to yell at each other during the break. We got to take one right now. You're listening to the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. Looks like Bill is preparing for a professional live endorsement.
Beautiful morning, rising up. It's still going to be a little chilly, but the corner is turning. It'll be warm weather soon, and one of the things that happens during warm weather, you start getting out more. You start checking out things. Maybe start thinking about buying a new home. Maybe start thinking about refinancing your current existing mortgage. If you're doing that, call 803-719-1005. That is his cell phone. That's how you can get in touch with him. Don't wait around. Get the process started today. 803-719-1005. You can also email him, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER, at firstpalmetto.com. Right now, Jacob is helping people save $300, $400, even $500 with their existing monthly mortgage payment. You could be one of those people. Just give him a call today, 803-719-1005, or again, that email, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER, OWDR at firstpalmetto.com. He's the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, with First Palmetto Bank.
Oh, Bill's out of here. You come out of there, though. Shan's us. Trying to type in. Oh, man.
Did Bill leave?
He's just getting his kids up and moving, I think. $1005. Zero. Did you see that? James, Dodge City, Kansas. 0 degrees. Woo.
Dodge City is like a, not like an old western town.
It sounds like it. If it's not, it needs to be.
I'm sure it is. Oh yeah. Yeah, nice. I'd like to go there.
All right. We got some solidly bitter text in this morning. Just reading some of these texts. Oh, Bill's back. Now he's out.
I'm so far behind here. I'll be back when I can because I just woke Ansley up. Normally we're about to walk out the door, but I just woke her up. So it's one of those mornings. It's going to be one of those mornings where get what you can and get in the car. And I've been trying to tell Jen I'm supposed to have a 740, but it may need to be moved. All right.
Gotcha. We'll take care of it.
What time is Good night coming on? Time of the hour?
7:15.
Okay.
Why? What? You got to take some kids to school too? What you got going?
No, just brew coffee.
Coffee concerns. Very similar type one.
And I don't know I wouldn't know what to ask him anyway. So, is he hopping on here?
Nope, he is not.
Or that was just a.
He says he's got a face for radio. He's good. Travis has one of those mornings as well. Hear ya. I haven't heard too much crying upstairs at my house yet. We might be off to a decent start. Degrees in Amarillo. Woo. Yeah, ridiculous, man. About a minute here, you think?
Yeah, just about that. Probably go ahead and hit the end hour music.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Gamecock basketball discussion. Pretty fascinating. I think it might come down to expectations. Mike says, am I wrong for thinking that the Final Four appearance had zero positive outcome, no top-rated recruits, no return to the NCAA tournament, no NIT run? And I don't know, do you get A.J. Lawson without that Final Four run, Patrick? Does Frank Martin not get credit for getting a top-rated guy out of the country of Canada?
I think that probably helped, but also, I mean, just having the memories of that is a positive outcome. It was the best. That was the best week of many people's lives.
Who was in the 5 points fountain?
This guy was, for one.
Who hit us up? And Newberry Chris says, you're always catching stuff on this show for keeping it real, Patrick. Richard's got an interesting thought process about expectations for Gamecock basketball. We'll get into that. Plus Carolina hitting coach Stuart Lake coming up in hour number 2. Oh, Chris, I meant to get your comment in there at the end. You have everybody on the same page right now about baseball being a saving grace. So, Patrick, any NFL drama yesterday?
No drama. I got 62 guys down right now.
Interesting. What does this mean? Titans GM puts first rounder on notice.
Well,
What's that? Wow, that's pretty good drama there.
Isaiah Wilson getting arrested during the season and then being terrible, and yeah.
Wow, he played 4 snaps. That's why this the whole draft off-season hype is so ridiculous.
Well, nobody had first-round grades on Isaiah Wilson. That was the most baffling first-round pick by far. He was not good at Georgia. He's just 350 pounds, and they thought, let's just. So that's why the draft hype is smart, because when somebody drafts Isaiah Wilson, everyone says, why in the world did you do that?
He's going to have to make a determination on whether he wants to do what it takes to play pro football. That'll be on him. Wow.
He was full of red flags.
So you didn't have him in your list of top 62 players last year? Is that what you're saying?
No. Well, 62, yeah. If he got taken in the second round, people would have said, okay, that's fine. But they should have plopped him at. They lost their right tackle, and they decided we're going to spend a first-round pick on a guy that's nowhere near deserving to be a first-round pick, and he probably should play guard and not tackle anyway. So that was a dumb pick. They just burnt a first-round pick for no reason.
Does this connection sound bad to everybody else?
Yeah.
No, sounds good to me, Jen.
And it's probably coming from your computer. It just.
It sounds kind of tinny.
Yeah, it was white noise. Are you talking about on the access?
No.
On the stream. Yeah.
Patrick, yours sounds the same way or no?
I just hear background buzz.
Mine sounds like normal, Jen. Haven't heard anybody complain about it. And I just sent you Stuart Lake's number. I think that was in the private chat and not on the live stream.
Tim Hill, provide new phone.
The last number that I get.
I didn't know that it doesn't snow in Athens, but there's some pretty cool pictures of the ancient stuff there. The Parthenon covered in snow.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like Sanford Stadium between the hedges.
Right.
No, I assume it doesn't snow there very often either.
Very cultured, Patrick. Very cultured, sir.
It's on my Twitter Explore page. Have you ever seen the movie Eyes Wide Shut?
I have. Way back in the day, though. Just one time. It's been a long time. I remember it was weird.
Oh, it was really weird. I've been Googling like Colts for the last 3 days.
Oh boy. Any
That
particular?
legitimately scared me.
What did you expect to find when you were Googling Colts?
Right.
No, the movie scared me, so I've been Googling the real life versions of that.
Oh.
But
You know what isn't scary?
oh, that's fun. I find that awfully ironic for a movie that has monster in the title.
Right. Well, Jane Fonda is scary.
Well, like real life elitist cults are way scarier to me than ghosts and monsters anyway, even if they were real monsters and monster-in-law.
Just the elitist cults, though, huh?
Well, I mean, just the fact that like they might be like in masks doing crazy things and secretly just controlling everything that goes on in our daily lives.
To the U.S. government.
Yeah, well, kind of.
Just kidding.
I was googling.
This is our last live stream. It ends at 7:01.
I was googling Bohemian Grove. You ever heard of that?
I got nothing on that. What you got?
Just like every like important lawmaker ever has been in that, and they like worship an owl and do weird things, like go on weird camping trips. I don't know. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre situation.
All of these things just sound so made up or embellished.
They're real.
But they are real. All of them are real. You have confirmed now.
Well, Bohemian Grove is confirmed real. I mean, like people have, I think, admitted to being involved in it, and they go on their retreats, and I think someone has infiltrated it before. And
now it's a retreat? Is it a retreat?
no, like they go on like this retreat. There's something that's kind of in House of Cards. There's an episode that's kind of similar to that.
Oh, so it's got to be true. Got it.
Exactly.
Well, it's not. Bohemian Grove is real. It's just what goes on there that is theorized about. I mean, it could just be a bunch of rich powerful dudes having a good time, but they do worship some sort of owl thing. I think they wear masks.
All right, we're going to start with some expectation talk about Gamecock basketball before we hit up baseball in Stuart Lake. Jen, I will try to take this break as close to 7:10 as possible. Patrick, we'll see if he works with me.
I'll just scream you guys here every 30 seconds.
Start waving your arms furiously on a live stream. That'll distract us enough. You could just get a piece of paper and stick it over your, it just says break.
There you go. Actually, I do have something I might bring in that could be helpful.
Nice. We'll start getting some play cards, some play sheets like the college football sidelines.
That too.
Well,
Let me measure.
right. Oh yeah. You gotta turn it the other way. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Oh no, now she's gonna have some fun with this. You could grade our hot takes too while we're in the middle of them. Nice. She's pumped. We've just entered into a new space. Oh, Jen, I don't know if I've ever seen her this happy. On the live stream, while Patrick has been pontificating on the live video stream here during the break, YouTube, Facebook Live, on Twitter as well. Patrick's going off about his conspiracy theories and his cults that he's been researching and the whole thing, and somehow this got us to Jen being able to write down some messages and just flash them on her video screen to keep us in line.
I wish I was a good artist. You know, that would help. Because then I could be more articulate.
Yeah.
But
We just need big block letters.
exactly. Shut
You're
up.
no matter how artistically challenged you are, you're much better than me. I can guarantee you that. My 5-year-old dominates me. You can see some of his artwork behind me on the live video stream. We got an Ozzie Smith and a Michael Jordan drawing back there over the shoulder. He does these little things that you follow along, and man, he's good at it. Certainly that skipped me. Fortunately, he gets some talent from my wife's side of things. Talking about Gamecock basketball, talent and expectations as we begin hour number 2 here. And wanted to give a shout out to our new live video stream sponsor in Buford Lending here. Again, multiple different avenues, platforms you can find us on the video deal. Patrick, what do you think about Richard's take here? Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. We're talking about the fact that it's been a 6-year run, I think Bill was saying. Maybe it's a 5-year run, but I think he said 6-year run of 500 basketball or better for Carolina. First time it's ever happened in the SEC era. It started back in, 92 or 94, somewhere in there. And the first time it's happened for South Carolina basketball overall since the Frank McGuire era. And I think it was 1 year past the Frank McGuire era. 6 straight years of 500 basketball or better. So we're going into, this is year number 9 of Frank Martin. Richard says, it's a good point, Bill, but do we as fans or former players set our expectations on basketball coach having team at 500 win percentage compared to school history, or do we have a right to expect successful seasons because 500 in college basketball isn't good? Richard concludes by saying, I think Frank's a good coach. The guys he's recruited aren't what he expected because they can't get past the learning curve. I think it's the recruiting because these kids just don't get it or they're not bought in. What do you think, Patrick?
I can understand why, because I agree with him, but I guess I can understand why people would disagree and why Bill would say that this is good. But I mean, you're talking about me. 6 years is how long I've been here. So I mean, my first year at Carolina, they're 25-9. The second year, they're in the Final Four. So of course, someone that comes into that is going to be disappointed by the last few years. I can understand a program that hasn't had success historically like that would say, well, look, this is better than it's been in the past. But I 100% agree that you shouldn't just accept, all right, we're above 500, so this is all good. Especially the way we talk about it every season. I mean, going into each season, there's a ton of hype, and we get like all insulted if somebody picks South Carolina to finish 10th in the SEC or 11th in the SEC. And I mean, they've done better than that every year, so I guess it's fair. But maybe I was down on the prospects for next year. Maybe it'll be good if South Carolina fans go into next season saying, maybe we're a bottom half of the SEC team this year, and they can play with their backs up against the wall or feel doubted for the first time because maybe we've been giving them too much credit.
But I think you're talking about maybe local Gamecock fan expectations versus outside of.
Right. Maybe they need to match up more.
Because this year it's been, typically I guess it's been the opposite from the outside looking in, right? I think this year's team actually got a lot more credit from those prognosticated in the SEC. I think predicted somewhere 5th or 4th, which is typically where they finished here the last several years, if not better, when they've been predicted 10th, 11th, 12th sometimes. And this year, unfortunately, those two things haven't matched up for Carolina. From a Gamecock fan perspective, I think the last several years after the Final Four run, logically so, Gamecock fans have expected to see some positive momentum continue to build in the program. And I think that's the main source of frustration right now for Carolina basketball fans. Wanted to let you hear from Frank Martin specifically as he made some comments yesterday, talking ahead of tonight's 9 o'clock tip-off with Tennessee in Knoxville. The game got pushed back, so the frustration wildly apparent from Frank Martin just from, I think, just how this week has gone. Maybe has summed up how the season has gone, kind of off and on and the whole thing. Jen wanted to let everybody hear number 4 is in front of you, talking about expectations for this season. And here's what Frank had to say about it, taking us to our first break here in hour number 2. When we come back and have Gamecock hitting coach Stuart Lake join us, talk some Carolina baseball, which I know a lot of you are looking forward to getting going on Friday afternoon. First game against Dayton. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Well done on the timing.
Thank you. Patrick actually helped us out. Nice job, Patrick.
The home of the Gamecocks and
All right, so Jen's got it on mute here, doing a traffic update. We're going to get Stuart Lake up and rolling here. Patrick's going to brew some coffee. Thank you guys for sticking with us here on the text line, or the live stream, I should say. If you have any specific baseball questions, hit me up with them now. Well, that's what I wanted to do, too. See if Jen's getting back on here. Sorry for the typing noise. Let's see. Do that a different time. Pop that up. Let's see. Another bitter text about Gamecock basketball there. Let's see what we have here. So, finds our way to the live stream daily. Oh, I see what you're saying. So, David, you're saying you guys as a group? Huh. That's a good question. I mean, that's a great call. What do you think, Jen? David suggests that the group of live video streamers should have a name. Good call. Let's hear some suggestions. You guys have any? Much stronger as a group than individuals here. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, it has to pertain to actually, I think, to the live video stream in some way. The degenerates is pretty good, Craig. That's pretty good. All right, so we got going lefty, righty, lefty, I believe. Farr, Jordan, and Bosnick as the rotation. Ooh. Okay, Travis getting in there. Good suggestion, David. I like that one. The wannabes, Patrick's wannabes specifically.
Stuart's ready.
All right. Can you turn up his audio there in the studio so everybody can hear him as well as possible?
Yep.
Thank you. Again, trying to get this all wired up here soon. Still waiting on a part to be delivered.
Yeah, and then-
Let's take that out. One here. A lot of people just ticked about the South Carolina guys on other teams there in the SEC. Josiah James tonight. It was obviously what we saw. I don't know why I can't keep remembering the kid from Irmo's name off the top of my head from Ole Miss. Monte Schuler. And then who was it before then? Was it from Alabama, Jordan Bruner, I guess you were trying to say, or Jawan Gary? Yeah, 3 out of 4. It's true. The Carrot Crew is pretty good, David. Not bad at all. I like it. All right, more basketball stuff there. Let's get this going here.
All right, back in.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're up.
Talking some Carolina baseball, we're right out to the Love Chevy phone lines, and our guest, Gamecock hitting coach Stuart Lake, joining us fresh off a as far as Cleveland Browns seasons go, and somehow you became a Cleveland Browns fan. As far as that goes, man, this is just a triumphant return to the show. You have to be riding high, don't you, after what your boys did?
Oh, yeah. I can't get back from Cleveland question on J.J. Watt. Next year might be finally that.
I'm sorry, J.J. Watt is coming to the Cleveland Browns, according to Browns fans?
According to Mary Kay Cabot.
Oh, how about that? Patrick's in there.
Great shot at it.
That's a great point, yeah. These guys, Patrick and Bill, have jumped on the Browns bandwagon and off a couple of times here in the most recent year. So I give guys like you and others that I know somehow just gluttons for punishment through the years as being Cleveland Browns fans. You guys deserve all the credits to it.
I appreciate it. I've been one, honestly, especially what it's now. It really was a fun year. Has become a Browns fan with me, so it's fun.
Surely the last few days hasn't been necessarily fun around Gamecock baseball, at least like you would like it. Some weather challenges got to be interesting as the hitting coach getting in all the work here before the season opener a couple of days away.
You know, we're just so lucky. I mean, some people occasions we have a founder, and yesterday, I don't know about the crazy thing. I feel right now, which means I think we'll be people about an hour now. That's what I'm feeling. But hopefully get one more good day of sunshine in the day. And then we've got to wait on the skirmish and cover what's going on. So I think we're coming on tonight. We'll be ready to go on Friday. Looks like tomorrow.
Well, I think I saw you retweeted a picture from former Gamecock assistant coach Jim Toman there at Middle Tennessee, just absolutely covered their field in snow.
Yeah, you know, just smoking my face you don't know, like you said, if it's not far home and look at all, and that huge snow, I didn't realize there's that picture out where it's kind of going through that part. So if we got much snow and that or
Well, let's talk about your hitters, Stuart. Let's go to what you've seen since the last time we spoke last year. 12-4, just starting to get things rolling as SEC play was getting cranked up, and then COVID hits and the season shuts down. I don't know if you say plenty of roster turnover, but I think from a Gamecock fan perspective, not a ton of familiar names to latch on to maybe as you head into the 2021 season. I know you got guys in your lineup that have produced at a pretty high level before, but how confident do you feel it's a couple of days before the season starts with the lineup you'll be putting on the field this year?
Well, you know, honestly, this is my then you got Andrew Ice, deal with kind of the older guys, Monster Allen, the entire group is fine. We start practicing on Tuesday, last week, at 1 o'clock, and by 11:30, I got guys texting me, come down, or might walk in the cage, no Myers, or bring them along. Those guys are getting on their own to get ready. This has been a fun week up to this point for me to do this, because they just show up every day. I think the fans are coming forward. The group that we can kind of make it into the power of the use slowly, like no problem, but a big effort this year, like Sky City, situational business. I'm really good to play, starting on Friday, back on the field, somebody else, that's what I really want to.
Surely some of this attitude, I'm not saying that these guys wouldn't be the same way had you had a full season last year, but don't you think some of this, maybe there's some newfound appreciation for just playing the game after it was taken away last year?
There's no doubt. I think you see it from coach to inside around the coach. I mean, if we're walking into talking about Tennessee, and within an hour, we get together. So a lot of these guys are part of that. So finally, getting prepared with the scouting report tomorrow, there's definitely a different energy. And I think in all of it, we want to be ready to submit. A year ago, we know it's just families doing open days. Now everything's changed so much in a year, so I definitely think that.
So from your standpoint, you have 6 of your top 8 hitters back from last season. You got Brandon Malone. I don't even think necessarily counts in that number. Who's fully healthy, and I know you guys were really looking forward to a good year from him last year as well, and a lot of talent there. Does this group compare to any past groups that you've had before? I know you mentioned the attitude is really good. How would you maybe compare them to some of other teams we've seen through the years of Gamecock baseball?
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of probably more than one team. Their whole roster team, we kind of learn who is this, who's that. So it's a group of guys that have money to go. I've been playing wherever I felt father and dad. And that's my role managers I had. And it's supposed to follow it. That matters. Stop the number of coaches and kids and that. Talk to them. I mean, get things started. And you're right. Ball, big ball, and Brady Allen. Guys on the follow with that night. We talked about it. That's what I did is just say, how many guys on it? I got 2 or 3 guys. And then all of them, one more so we put a big emphasis on scoring. I think we got different ways to
All right, let us in behind the curtain a little bit if you can about that scoring system. What's the highest number of points you can get for a quality at bat?
Over the years, it's so fun. I started about 18 seasons, I do in the fall. And the highest point is about 22 points. But I think it's you get points and strike in, strike all the guys. The highest point is only one type of bat. And that's crazy. It's really cool because I post it every day, pictures and stuff with it. Because if you make your whole page to think about that, So I try to find different ways to guys evaluate themselves. It matches up so much with that.
Yeah, I guess the difference, we hear it all the time from coaches, and this is Gamecock hitting coach Stuart Lake, about the difference between focusing on process as opposed to end result, and how you have to be process driven if you're going to be successful from your perspective. I get that. So I think you've told us in the past too that these guys can lobby to add points to their quality at bats. Who are your future lobbyists there? Who are your future attorneys possibly who are putting up the best arguments consistently in the dugout after these ABs?
Two guys that this is now got to go through now. This guy because my rule is allow I give them 24 hours. You got so many of actions that we say, and this really favors so that guy, we only did one more play. All the guys do that right. But yeah, West North is really out. They're cooking every day some type of argument. That's why there's 6 complaints. Because we just come every day.
Now I see Patrick getting a smile over there. I think you're thinking about how it goes on our show. Now, I need to know, are these going to be defense attorneys? Are they going to be plaintiffs' attorneys? Are they coming in looking to take points away from other guys typically, or are they coming in looking to add points for themselves?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think break down West Florida, I'm not sure. Maybe
Dropping a liar reference. That's Gamecock hitting coach Stuart Lake this morning. Power guys, how are the power numbers going to be from this group, and positional wise as well? Where are the biggest competitions right now? What positions from a hitting standpoint anyway? And you're kind of lucky. You just get to prepare them to hit, and then Mark Kingston has to make the final decision who gets in the lineup.
Well, there's no doubt about that. We've got 18 hitters this fall, and Michael makes really good. And he made a comment the other day. It's going to be a hard long up the right. I'm going to back it up. I really feel that a lot of guys that's the whole thing. What that means we know much about that so yeah, I think Untitled Chapter. Polio was better. One minor. And we came in on that. We came in on that. And just like the good stuff. But that was a lot of
I'm sure Gamecock fans even a little bit more excited about this baseball season, if that's possible, after hearing you break down your hitters there. He's Gamecock hitting coach Stuart Lake, just riding triumphantly after a successful Cleveland Browns season. Something that I don't know if I've ever said that in my life, certainly not on Sports Talk Radio. So I'm guessing some of that, I'm hoping you're thinking some of that positive energy will rub off on your hitters, and you guys get things cranked up here in 2 days. I know you're pumped about it.
I am. You know, it's clear. Looks like I mean, we're not this whole team. I know what happened. You know, people want to lie. You know, but it's working on
We appreciate you joining us here this morning. Thanks for giving us some insight about what Carolina fans can expect from these hitters, especially Gamecock hitting coach Stuart Lake. I hope to talk to you again soon, Stuart. Stuart Lake, Gamecock hitting coach. Happy to have him on the program. We'll get back into our Gamecock basketball discussion when we come back and kick off the second half of the program. Carolina at Tennessee, 9 o'clock tip time tonight, 8:30 airtime here on 107.5 The Game. You're listening to the early game.
This is Gamecock basketball head coach Phil White.
And it happened again yesterday. I forget even which time I was scrubbing my carpet. I think this was the little guy. I had some spit up. I don't think we had a particular spill on the carpet yesterday, but it just reminded me how much I appreciate having Zero Res carpet and air duct cleaning out to our house to help us out, because we need help, professional help with more than our carpets and floors and the whole thing. But I think you understand why I would recommend just this part. We'll keep it to just the carpet and floors. Zero Res has come out to my house a couple of times and done a great job cleaning my carpets in the house. They've cleaned an area rug for me a couple of times, also cleaned the tiles in both my kitchen and bathroom, and done a great job. Great results. Impressed my wife in the process. Not an easy thing to do all the time, especially when it comes to things like this. But also, we had nothing to worry about with how Zero Res cleans, because they don't have any harsh chemicals involved in their process. It's a patented powered water system, no leftover residue involved with soap, because there's no soap involved in the process, and that's kept our carpets cleaner longer. Same can go for you at your home or business. The commercial cleaning division there at Zero Res also working day and night, businesses all over the Midlands, following all the CDC guidelines right now, making sure everything is clean and sanitized, and they've got a great deal for you right now as well. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $109 when you mention me, Tim Hill. Schedule that Zero Res cleaning today. Give them a call at 803-262-4020. Book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. It's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. All right, let me turn this thing on. You just reappeared for me there.
What did?
You did. I had taken you off the live stream, then you just popped right in there on the radio. Nice work. Chris is pumped. Protocols, man, that could have been a whole nother segment there, Chris, I'm sure. For seating in the stadium, they just have it spaced out. And you're supposed to wear your mask all the time. I think that's the easiest way to put it. The protocols in the stadium for seating, they're only selling a certain amount of tickets. That'll keep you socially distanced, and you're supposed to wear your mask the whole time. So I think as far as that goes, man, baseball is where it can be the easiest transition, I would think, from a fan standpoint. At least you get to sit outside, and you don't have to worry about too much from a space standpoint, I wouldn't think. And next week, I think, is when the weather's supposed to get even a little warmer. So maybe one cold weekend, good to go. I think we'd all take that.
mean, is next week, it's just warm from there? I mean, when are we going to reach the point where, because I've had it twice now where I thought, okay, this is our first warm day, and now it's going to stay warm.
Right. No, I
Springs.
haven't gotten there yet.
Definitely not going to feel the same on Friday. Not feeling.
Yeah, no doubt.
Those have been, for the last few years, two of the most fun days.
Always good to have you.
Half my body sunburned because I was sitting accidentally just like this much in the shade at Village Idiot for about 4 hours.
Good for you. It's a good day. Did you see Brian there?
Well,
which idiot were you at? The one on Olympia there?
Yeah, I'm talking about opening day last year.
Oh, gotcha. Last year. I thought you were talking about yesterday. I knew you said you're outside. Was that the one that Holinsky came by?
Yeah.
Man, so much has changed, huh? 1 year.
Trey Dyson showed up with like 3 Red Bulls, started getting everyone to take BP.
Yeah, now he's a dang coach, a college coach, North Greenville. All right, I'll do a liner, Jen, and then would like to do number 2, please. Frank?
Okay.
Hey, would love your help. Less than a week away now from our blood drive, or actually exactly a week away. My days are off. Monday off for President's Day is throwing me off. Today is Wednesday. Next Wednesday, going to have a blood drive in honor of National Heart Month right there in downtown Columbia, 2751 Bull Street. The address from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Would love to have you over there. Pre-registration, rapid pass preferred. Walk-ins are welcome. More information on our website at 1075thegame.com. Again, that's next Wednesday from 10 until 4 on Bull Street. Our blood drive in honor of National Heart Month. Wanted to let you hear from Frank Martin now. Some of his comments yesterday ahead of tonight's game. The question came up about really, I guess, next year, his future in coaching and how he's feeling based off some comments about a month ago when admittedly wasn't feeling very well. This is coming off, I think, the heels of not even making that trip to LSU. So Frank's saying basically that he felt like crap. Now he feels good. And he's ready to go. Good to hear Frank's feeling better. We'll see what kind of performance we get from his Carolina basketball team that's coming off a 7-point loss to Ole Miss, where Ole Miss controlled a lot of that game. Carolina made a late push. They're at home, finishing up a 3-game homestand that resulted in 3 losses, and a really tough one to Alabama, and a sandwiched in between a pretty convincing performance by Mississippi State to start that homestand, and then it was a convincing performance led by Irmo native Devontae Shuler's career-high 31 points, where after the game, Frank was very disappointed, I think, in his team and their inability to guard the other team's best player. And he mentioned that that's never been a thing and never been a problem for his teams in the past. And this year has been so different. Patrick, down the stretch now, it becomes, all right, what are you doing exactly? 5 games left, and you're well under 500 for the season. A postseason berth, not likely, certainly without a miraculous run. What does this team do down the stretch to have fans positive or optimistic at all about next year? We've talked about next year multiple times. From looking at the roster standpoint, it doesn't seem to project very highly, and I think maybe this has been a lot of your frustration, that we have projected a lot of optimism in the last several years based on what you see on paper and what you have coming back, and knowing how Frank values experience typically. I think that has added to a ton of frustration from a lot of Gamecock fans this year about the lack of wins and the lack of execution specifically.
Yeah, so that's why I think instead of kind of focusing on the wins and losses, because I mean, right now 3 of your 5 last games are against ranked opponents in Tennessee 19, Missouri 20, Arkansas 24. That's what I'm seeing on Google here. And then Mississippi State's already whooped you and you beat Georgia. So, I mean, would anybody be shocked if South Carolina ends the season 1-4? I don't think so. But it's more about who plays well. I mean, you need to see something from maybe like Wildens, Levac, and Jalen McCreary really having a couple big-time performances against those bigs of Missouri and Tennessee. That would be nice. Maybe a big scoring output from – I mean, you're going to see energy from Trey Hannibal. If you can see consistency from just anybody down low, that would honestly be the biggest thing for me. Keyshawn Bryant ending the season on a couple 20-point games would be nice because he's going to be your focal point going into next year. I don't know what's going to get people excited for next year at this point other than just more of the same dominating performances from A.J. Lawson, and then he decides to come back, honestly.
Well, Frank was asked yesterday about a message to fans who are feeling frustrated and disappointed at this point with 5 games left in that regular season that you just highlighted, and here's what he had to say. So Frank, speaking about, I think, the lack of maybe rhythm this team's been able to get that teams in years past have. I don't know how Gamecock fans hear that, Patrick. How did you hear?
I don't know. I mean, you don't expect him to apologize, right? I mean, it's not. He wasn't going to say, just hang. I almost expected him to say, just hang on with us this year. It was a tough year. We'll get him next year or something. I don't. He's not like a rah-rah guy like that. But
right
when he went on the thing of saying, well, just look at the last 8 years. I mean, people have been very unhappy with the last 3 seasons. So I'm not sure pointing back to those and saying, well, look what we did last year is a good way of saying or making up for explaining this season. I wasn't really on board with that.
But I think this goes into a personality thing, first of all, that you mentioned it. Frank's never been that guy necessarily to put out a message to get a lot of positive vibes going. I know when he was introduced, he was talking about, all right, we're going to go on a ride now, and certainly there was more of that kind of discussion, but that's especially after 3 straight losses, you're just not going to get that immediately in a media Zoom call like he was asked yesterday. That was Colin Taylor from Gamecock Central, by the way, asking the question. But going back to what he's talking about. He's talking about how traditionally his teams play their best basketball down the stretch. And there's no doubt about it. That's what has happened. I think he's maybe especially disappointed that hasn't happened this year with an experienced team. Everything this team's gone through. He went on to say that judging on wins and losses this year is unfair, I think, is where he was going with that. And that leads me back to the comment that we kind of started this hour with about, Bill, you pointed out earlier in the show, 6 straight years now, 500 or better for Gamecock basketball. Hasn't happened since the Frank McGuire era. So there has been more success here under Frank Martin in the SEC era than any other coach. The question is, how much success should Gamecock fans expect and / demand, I guess, from a basketball program that just hasn't been very good through the years?
Well, they should expect more. I mean, that's if you don't expect more, just shut down the basketball program and allocate the resources elsewhere. But so I have no problem with expecting more. I guess I have a biased look at the basketball program because back when I was doing scouting and working with ESPN and 24/7 Sports, I'd sit in those hospitality rooms and I'd hear other coaches talk about the South Carolina job and the perception that they have of the South Carolina job, and maybe it jaded my opinion of it. I don't think it's a good job. I compare it to Kansas or Rutgers in football. Now, I don't think it's a good job, but I still think you should have expectations, and you can expect it to. You should. I mean, again, if you're not going to expect it or you're not going to want it to get the NCAA tournaments on a consistent basis, then just shut it down, move on, allocate the resources, start a lacrosse. So with all that being said, I don't know, maybe I get a little jaded with it because I would talk to the coaches about it and say, I was the same way. Like when Eddie Fogler said 2 NCAA tournament appearances in 5 years, whenever he was here, that's 10 appearances. That's 4 appearances in 10 years. I mean, I thought that was realistic. I don't know if a lot of people share that opinion in the college basketball world. This job is, you have AAU coaches against you in the state. There's a reason that these players don't stay. There's a reason Devontae Shuler didn't go to an ACC school that's in the state. I mean, ACC is still considered one of the most prestigious conferences in America. You should want to get to play in that. You should want to play against Duke and North Carolina and Syracuse and Louisville and all those. You don't even have these kids staying in the state. You're going to Mississippi and Alabama, Tennessee. You have AAU coaches. There's not a voice in South Carolina that speaks and helps South Carolina, or Clemson for that matter. Very few. Every once in a while, Sindarius Thornwell goes to South Carolina, Milton Jennings goes to Clemson, PJ Hall goes to Clemson, PJ Dozier goes to South Carolina. So I guess I get a little jaded about it, but I don't disagree with people who are upset. I don't disagree with people that are upset. I get it. You should expect more. That's part of pulling for your team. Like that is totally, except Mark Kingston's going to be held to the same standard that is South Carolina baseball this year. And him going back to last year, he was 12-4, which I was we talked about this like a week ago. I was like, 12-4, that was actually pretty good, because I remember at the time people being upset, and they were upset that they lost to Clemson and lost the series to Northwestern, but that's because the standard for South Carolina baseball is higher. So I totally understand when people are upset and say, this isn't working. I don't know what the next answer is. I think that's for me. I'm a person who likes to say, okay, well, this isn't working. What are we going to do next instead of just throwing it out there? I know what the perception is of South Carolina basketball out here in the college basketball world, and you look at the last 3 of the last 4 coaches. 2, Eddie Fogler and Frank Martin, got massive fights, like couldn't be resolved arguments with their athletic director, and basically we're going to take any other job. And Dave Odom was run out of Wake Forest and called a lifeline at South Carolina. Is there another coach out there that's like that right now?
While you ponder that question, I don't see an end in sight here. Got to stop you right there, Bill, and take our final break here in hour number 2 here on the early game with 107.5 The Game. You get with the 740 here, right? Let's see. What you got, Bill? You got Corey Pools here, is that right? Oh, Jen's on the horn with somebody.
Contrary to what Tim opened up the program with, it is colder this morning than it has been, I don't know, in quite some time. It is, I just took the kids to school, I had to get outside. It's not enjoyable out there right now. It has me wishing, it has me so ready for summertime and being able to use somebody's pool. It's just when I come to your pool, I kind of expect you to have it clean. And keeping a pool maintained and clean, it's a lot of work. You need to let an expert do it. Let Corley Pool Solutions handle that for you. Pool maintenance, I was learning about this the other day. I'm not even going to lie to you. I have zero clue about pool maintenance. I was talking to Tracy over the weekend. He's got 20 plus years of experience in the business. He'll do it for a flat fee, including all the chemicals. He was telling me about how pool maintenance doesn't just start during the summer. You got to do it year round. You got to make sure that that pool is maintained so that when you get the first day to jump in it, you're not looking around going, oh, that looks disgusting. It's got to be ready to go. And with Corley Pool Solutions, they'll do the testing of the chemicals. They'll add proper chemicals for water balancing, the vacuum and the netting, skimmer cleaning, filter backwashing. They do it all. Stuff that I don't understand, stuff that you probably don't understand, and quite frankly, don't want to waste your time doing. It's actually cheaper to hire Corley Pool Solutions than to go to the chemical store, to go to the pool store, buy all the chemicals, and then have to come back and do it yourself. Give them a call today and find out what I'm talking about. 803-445-8109. That's 803-445-8109. Pool maintenance at a flat monthly rate. They'll take care of you. Tracy's personally involved. He's going to come to your side. He's going to make sure his team is doing their job. That's the kind of person you want keeping your pool clean. When they take great pride in what they do and making sure you're happy, that's what you want. 803-445-8109. That's Corley Pool Solutions. Like the Home Alone version of trying to get to school this morning. Let's go, let's go, let's go. No, you don't need breakfast. You'll eat at lunch at noon. You're fine. Let's go. Socks are irrelevant this morning. Get up. Let's go.
Jim, you didn't leave anyone at home, though, did you?
Everybody got to school. Ando's gone.
We can do
Normally we leave at 6:55, right after the show ends, but we didn't break till 6:50. Austin had already woke up, so that was good, but he's easy to get ready. Ansley was the one that I had to sprint at 6:50 to get up and be like, let's go. Let's go. You don't have time to. Don't worry about your hair. It's fine. The boys don't care.
Do not envy that. On multiple levels. So next time, feel free just to take Ansley to school and leave Austin. Sit with your
He was ready. He was up early. He was playing PlayStation.
I bet. Give us plenty of NBA 2K.
Yeah, he was. I walked in. He had the Rockets were playing somebody.
Yeah.
Jim, not much time here.
Probably going to have 45 seconds at best.
Feel free to kick that last rejoiner out of there.
Sorry.
Feel free to kick that last rejoiner out of there. Just come straight back with the closed bed. Yeah, come straight in here. That cool?
Yeah.
Oh man, Nadal just lost.
What? What did you say, Patrick?
That's right.
Rafael Nadal just lost.
Yeah, we got a live update from the Australian Open. What is Patrick, our tennis correspondent now? Can't even get the headset on. He's spazzing. A lot of big news. Nadal that just lost.
Just lost. Only the second time in his career where he won his first 2 sets and lost the match.
Wow.
I couldn't understand
That
what he
is-
was saying. I was like, what happened?
Come on, Bill. It's all about the Australian Open these days.
Well, he was very broken up about it, but I couldn't tell what was happening.
Yeah, I like it though. He's a lefty. Lefty's got to stick together.
He's an emotional guy. Hour 3 coming up. We'll see if he can get over it.
He came in so quickly.
All right. Restroom break, coffee break, and then I'm back.
All right, one Monday off. This show way off kilter. One Monday off.
So I added a little bit more to 57, and I've had to add 10 so we're going to do regular breaks. We're going to knock out all 3 of them.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
We'll kick Bill off the live stream here.
Is he in timeout?
Craig's talking about a little golf practice here, March 12th. Well done, less than a month away. Can't get any practice yet. Don't worry, it's going to turn here soon. Don't want to hear your excuses, especially from a guy that has his Facebook profile shot as a beautiful follow through there. And there are all kinds of simulators all over the place, Craig. Don't want to hear it. No excuses in the 21st century.
Wow.
What is the Masters?
And I stink at golf, and you're much better than me. The Masters is the second week in April, I believe.
It's
Yeah,
Sunday
maybe-
after Easter. Isn't it? Or that week?
Going to finish up the weekend before the spring game, I think. Or maybe it's 2 weekends before the spring game. Yeah, right around the 10th.
Is that the next big tournament?
Yeah, there is.
There are a couple of good ones before, but yeah, it's the next major for sure. But this weekend is pretty good field there, Riviera, and then you got the match play event after that. So pretty decent golf.
What is the match play event?
It's when they pair up the best 64 golfers in the world, 1 versus 64, 2 versus 63, and play it off.
Whoa. And that's what, just -1 if you win the hole, +1 if you...
Something like that.
That's how match play works, right?
Mm-hmm. Then it gets a little tricky when you're going 9 and 8 and 4 and 3. If you're up 4 with 3 holes to go, you win.
Did they play it out if you're already...
Nah, you win it. It's done. You can finish that thing in basically 10 holes, I think.
Is that a benefit?
It's what a benefit.
So what, one plays 64 and then 64 loses and they're eliminated and then one plays somebody else the next day?
Right. Just set it up. Bracket.
Do you want to play all 18 holes in a situation like that?
Why?
Well, I don't know, just playing, there's 8 holes that you didn't get to play. Like,
No.
familiarity, does that matter?
Nah, you want to win the match.
Well, no, if you already won it, would you still want to, like, play your last 5 holes or whatever? And
Maybe those dudes are that crazy, but I've never heard of that.
I don't know how important it is to play a hole one day. And
Oh, Bill's talking about Top Golf down in Augusta.
isn't top... What's happening in Williams-Bryson? When is that happening?
That is let's see, the 24th is a Saturday, so 17th, 10th, so it's around the April 10th.
Good question. So they're just setting up Williams Bryce, a bunch of targets and stuff for a
Yeah.
top event. Looks pretty cool.
I assume one half of the stadium is being used, right?
Right. I don't think they would crossfire. That wouldn't be good.
That would be pretty wild if they were doing that now.
Jim, were you going to say something?
I was to say I've gotten another comment that says the screen sounds kind of staticky.
Yeah, it's coming from your background, Tim.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I don't have the old heater cranked up or anything. Must just be a connection issue with the internet.
Yeah.
Is your computer fan on?
Nope. I mean, not on more than it always is.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes mine gets, like, I guess, overheated and the fan cranks up. It sounds almost like that would be what it was. It's just a little, like, white noise.
Yeah, that must be it. I do hear it going, but all part of the fun of birthing the live video stream.
Yep.
Hope, good morning. So, who hit us up earlier about the naming these everybody that's on the live video stream? Who was that? Was that David? I think. Yeah, David had a couple of suggestions. Patrick's Wannabes, the Carrot Crew. Donnie just said the Degenerates, or Craig went with that one.
Lug nuts.
Third base hecklers. So we got some. It got quieter when I leaned forward, huh? That's weird. And you gotta get the extreme close up. Maybe my face was getting in the way of some.
Oh, look at Dr. Derek.
He's
Go
trying
there.
this with you.
Watch.
Attaboy, Derek. You can tell Patrick is not a golfer. That is correct, Scott.
No.
Just like he can tell you are not a single man with the hyphen with your, I assume, your wife's name as the Facebook account. Patrick, not a bad golf swing, though. In his one round of golf that we played in the old Gamecock hockey golf tourney back in the day.
You're the only one I played.
Not an embarrassing swing, especially for not playing. Like some guys just can't swing a golf club.
Yep.
It's just not in their DNA. I would think maybe lacrosse helped you. Maybe not. Maybe that doesn't translate. You never played hockey back in the day at all?
Nope. Hockey is.
There's his swing. You're a good athlete. Swing's not the problem. It's getting club head level. There's all kinds of little things with golf there that make that like just a freaking aggravating sport. And you think, I should just be able to go out and swing the club, and most people go swing the club. I mean,
I know how to hit the ball if I just kind of let the club go and do the work, but it's only when I try to hit it hard, and then I end up just hitting the dirt.
I hear you.
I can't swing hard. I will guarantee miss.
So let's see. If we're going to play that game, by the way, Scott, you got to give us your handicap, sir, if you're going to be taking shots at golf. Mine is brutal, probably 20, if not more. Bill's probably at what, 14 these days, Bill? 12?
Right now it's probably 18 to 20. I mean, I haven't played since. I do have 2 tournaments coming out. I got ours, and I've got another one in March.
Nice. March 12th is our date, by the way. Windermere, love to have everybody out there. Even if you don't play golf, come out. Patrick, you're going to be heckling with me, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Nice. 18-ish. Okay, so we're about the same there, Scott. Sounds like you could play in our group. 18-ish. That ish can be pretty big. As long as you're not a sandbagger and the ish isn't going the other way.
Yeah, I haven't played.
How late is too late to start playing golf?
Seriously, just
Or get
because
good at
think
golf.
about this, you'll never. As you get into your sooner or later, you'll probably have kids. I would assume you can always play golf with your kids. You can always go out. I mean, you're not going to be 45 going, "Hey son, let's go play each other in lacrosse."
My father-in-law didn't really take it up until after retirement, and he got in the 70s the other day.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Jeez.
He's a good athlete, though, and he has taken it up pretty seriously.
My dad just started playing too. I mean, he's played before, but he's playing more than he ever has before now.
But golf is one of those things you've got to be realistic about what you are. Like people that go out that are going to shoot 85 to 95 and are like throwing clubs and cussing and become that person on the course drive me insane. Like have a drink, have a cigar, laugh with your buddies, high five a little bit. Like Just like honestly, play a beautiful course.
I don't like how long it is. Like, truly, I just want to go for an hour.
But you got
Pretty good kids. Unbelievable.
All right, guys, we're up.
I mean, it's your whole day.
I don't like how long it is. The quote from Patrick Perrette about golf as we were discussing I don't know, how did this even come up, by the way? You guys know? Oh, no, Craig was complaining about the weather. Can't get any practice in for the golf tourney with this weather. The golf tourney coming up over at Windermere, March 12th, the Station Golf Tournament. Some of the proceeds of this year's spring tournament, first ever spring tournament we're doing, by the way, going to Camp Cole, supporting the good calls over there. So really looking forward to having everybody out there. I might as well give you all the information if I'm going to be talking about it. You can give the guys over at Windermere a call and register right now as a single or as a 4-person Captain's Choice team. 786-7888 is where you can call Windermere. Breakfast and lunch included. We're going to have the Heckle Hole out there. That spring tournament sponsored by Integrated Media, where it's still your home, just smarter. IntegratedMediaInc.com. And it just reminded me, did you guys see on social media yesterday? It's how I found out. 25-year anniversary of something yesterday. You guys see what it might have been? Oh, it looks like Bill just gave a two-handed push. Okay, Patrick, don't spoil it because Jen is definitely guessing. Bill, you don't know either, or you think you might have an idea?
I saw this. Okay, I know what it is.
Okay.
It's a movie. It's a movie. All right.
Let's give Jen some hints. We'll give everybody hints along. You're playing along at home. Yes, Craig, you are correct. Don't look at the live stream, Jen and Craig. Ruin it for everybody. What was that, Patrick?
Happy Gilmore?
Oh, wow. Well done, Jen. She knows her. How about that? That stopped me in my tracks. 25 years. Golf clap. Well done. Because the only reason I knew about it, I guess Adam Sandler put out a video. He just had a cell phone out at a golf course that hadn't done this in 25 years, and he just ripped one, Happy Gilmore style, and then Shooter McGavin responded there, the actor that played him, and it still plays for me. Maybe I'm an old dude.
Adam Sandler might not have played golf in that time. Like, all he does is play pickup basketball.
Yeah,
right.
Very big basketball. And the gal who played his publicist, she's the mom on Modern Family. And
sure.
So it's just been, it just doesn't seem like it's
really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen. Honest question: When was the last time y'all saw Happy Gilmore? Because now, when you just said that, I was like, nah, I barely remember the cast from Happy Gilmore.
Really?
That's a movie I owned. I think I still have it somewhere on VHS, probably. So, but it's probably been, 10 years since I've watched it at length at all. I could probably still talk around with the lines.
Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. So I think it's both movies on one disc.
Okay, on a disc. So
when I went to ride on my son's coach this morning, he was taking my dog to the airport this morning, and on his TV he had Happy Gilmore on. So I thought that was interesting. So maybe he was aware of the anniversary and played the last.
Is Bob Barker still alive? Bob Barker still?
I thought so.
Not good.
Well, sometimes we don't read all the comments on the air.
Yeah. How old do you think he is?
Bob Barker? I mean, I would think now he's 8. I'd go 85 to 90.
Anybody else want to venture a guess?
Yeah, I think
I got to go 90s.
Yeah, he's around my mom.
Speaking of the 90s, Hope would have been
97.
He's 97?
He's 97.
Oh my goodness.
40 Bob Barker.
What a run.
Hope needed to know what year you were born there, Patrick. You want to give that to her?
95. So it came out, I just Googled it. It came out February 16th, 1996. So 3 months after I was born.
Julie Bowen, the name of the character, the love interest in that movie. You're talking about Modern Family Mom. Somebody's a fan.
Yeah.
Christopher McDonald is Shooter McGavin in that thing. Ben Stiller made the cameo as the nurse in the nursing home for Happy Gilmore's mom. Carl Weathers.
I thought it was his grandmother.
Yeah, you're right, grandmother. Sorry.
But all those
All-Star
guys
cast
make
trade.
cameos. All those guys make cameos in pretty much each other's movie. Isn't that
It used to be the deal for sure.
Not really that crew.
Not that crew.
Yeah, not quite that crew.
It's a Saturday Night Live crew that pops in those
Grown-ups
movies.
and-
Schneider and David Spade and those guys.
Will
Tim
Ferrell,
Meadows.
Will Ferrell, who randomly pops up.
Yeah, sometimes.
Not really.
So I bring this up just to make you feel old if you're back in the day and Happy Gilmore was a part of. I think that was, I might have seen that movie in high school just 25 years ago. Yeah, because I'm coming up on 25 years getting out of high school. That's where I'm at there. This does pertain to some sports if you're just yelling outside of just the golf tournament reference for Happy Gilmore. We're talking about Gamecock basketball and expectations. Before tonight's 9 o'clock tip with Tennessee, this is coming off some comments from Frank Martin. And I guess we should let you hear those comments first as we begin the conversation here in the third hour, talking about Frank Martin's perspective on the end of this season. He was asked if you had a message to fans with just 5 games left in this season that has been an overall disappointment. I was hoping, Jen, we could hear the last comment that we have edited this morning, talking about maybe just fans and the outside perception on Gamecock basketball so far this year.
For clear, that's not the right cut. Which one were you wanting? That's not the right one. Which one did you want?
I was hoping to do 4, but it's no big deal.
Is it 4?
But
That's one that is, isn't it?
I mentioned a little bit earlier, and a lot of comments have come in on the text line equating that, what we just heard from Frank Martin, to what we heard from Will Muschamp about in years past. Is there a difference to you, Bill? To me, the main difference is just the massive effect that COVID has had on this year's season for Gamecock basketball, and how getting in a rhythm of playing 2 games per week is a different type of deal in basketball, because you just play more games than obviously what you see in football with 1 game per week.
You know, we've talked a lot about this the last few weeks. Yeah, I think there's an impact. I do think I'm not trying to say that this is a regular year for them. But where I also have to kind of draw the line on that is that this is an experienced team. That's what I really don't understand. And you know, this isn't Frank Martin's first time coaching them, unless he completely changed the scheme in the offseason. You know, it's kind of like going, all right, you know, last year we ran the triple option. This year we're going to run, you know, 4 wide receiver spread. Like, everything that they've done for 3 years should be the same, right? That's where I have a hard time completely giving a pass. I get it that you've got to practice. I get it that there is a level of preparation that even I don't understand, but as average fans, that you prep and you prepare for your next opponent, you do film study. I got that. But like, I don't understand. These guys have listened to Frank Martin, most of them, for 3 or 4 years. They understand what he wants. He understands what they are. I honestly feel that if there wasn't COVID this year, based on what I've seen, especially for the last month as this team has really gotten healthy, I think there would be a few more wins. But I don't think that we would be sitting here talking about this team being a bubble NCAA team. There's just something off about this team that I can't put my finger on, that I don't think has anything to do with COVID.
Patrick, you were shaking your head. You got an answer?
No, I agree 100%. If there was no COVID, I haven't seen anything to believe that this team would be substantially, if any, different than it is right now. I don't know why or what the reason Alonzo Frank isn't playing, but if that would have changed something, then maybe you would have had a little bit more depth in the front court. But he's mentioned there's no leadership. That's a huge problem. The team doesn't put up a ton of energy. They don't really have an identity. None of that was going to be changed by having a full season of all the time prepared. South Carolina should have been more ready for this season than most teams. When John Calipari and Mike Krzyzewski complain that they've only had these guys on campus for a couple of months and haven't got enough time to coach them, they've built up the goodwill to validate that excuse and say, okay, it doesn't matter, we'll rebound next year. This is just what it is. Every team at Duke and Kentucky is a new team each year, 3 to 5 new starters every year. It's not the same thing as South Carolina. Everyone that's playing this year has already played in South Carolina except for Seventh Woods that he practiced with them for a year.
Well, there have been times in Frank's tenure where there's been significant roster turnover and you've had 6, 7 new guys.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
while I don't think
This ain't
that, what I was going to say is while I don't think that that's good, this would be a year where I'd be like, all right, I do totally get it. Patrick, to your point, what we're saying is like, and again, for the core of this team, it's not just 1 year. It's Cousinard. This is Cousinard's 3rd year. This is Lawson's 3rd year. This is Bryant's 3rd year. This is Mania's 4th year. You're right. Seventh Woods was there all that time. That's why I have a hard time saying that everything that's going on with this team is completely COVID related. I think it's part. You know, when look, here's something I'll ask. Since Frank came here, he's lost what appears to be 2 pretty good assistant coaches in Brad Underwood, who's got a top 5 team, and Matt Figger, who's done pretty well at Austin Peay, I believe. A lot of people gave Perry Clark a lot of grief for sitting over there. I made the comment, and I like Perry Clark. I know Perry. But I've been looking like the used vacuum cleaner salesman who comes home after a long day of work and flops down to the couch, exhausted from door-to-door sales, fixes himself a strong bourbon and flips on Law and Order. Like Perry Clark, but Perry Clark is smart basketball mind. His background backed it up.
That was a really specific example.
Well, I've given it on the show before. It's the Dan Levitar stuff too, where they do, because I've done that with Perry Clark. But the bottom line is, you know, how much, I don't know. You know, the staff that came in, Underwood and Figger, look at what they're doing. I think Perry Clark was here a lot longer than I realized. And, you know, maybe that has something to do with Chuck Martin's been here 2 years. Bruce Shingler's been here 3 now, maybe 4. And then obviously, I want to say Will Bailey, but I feel like I'm messing it up. But Will Bailey from St. Louis has been here a year. So I do think there are some differences, but I also think you kind of look at the staff, and it's not the same. I wonder how much that affected. Steve Spurrier was great with a good staff. With Ellis Johnson, with Shane Beamer, with Jay Graham, with, you know, Eric Wolford. You can get on the list of Brad Long. I don't know. Is there something to it that's that? I think there's a lot more than just COVID is all I'm saying.
And Trey hits us up in all bold letters on the live stream there, and everyone is having to deal with that. No doubt about it.
Exactly.
So from that standpoint, I understand continuing to hold coaches and programs accountable. Obviously, we saw during football season, you don't get a complete pass if you can't get satisfactory results. 803-404-6100. If you would like to continue to weigh in on the show, you can call or text that number. Wanted to mention our live video stream, now sponsored by Buford Lending. On the YouTube, on the Facebook, and on Twitter right now is where you can find us. Buford Lending, our live stream sponsor. Appreciate them joining the show. 803-404-6100. Again, the number, if you would like to join, you can call or text. Plenty of comments rolling in on Gamecock basketball. Let you hear more comments from Frank Martin as we roll on as well. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
Hey, we've got a way to help you with that Zoom work. You know when the mute button is on, and
Oh yeah. Did you read that text from Brian before you started talking about assistant coaches, Bill?
No, we're
Just on the text line about assistant coaching turnover.
oh yeah.
Man, what happens if Nathan Nelson starts tonight and goes 6 out of 8 from 3?
Is Mike Green still on the team? Put those guys out there and just let them bomb away.
Nelson's 4 out of 5 on the year, I think. If Mike Green's still on the team, I think he is, but I don't think he has gotten off the bench in a long time. Thanks for cutting that podcast of Stuart late, Jen.
I wouldn't mind seeing Nelson start tonight. I agree with you, Hope.
Oh, that's a good one, Trey. Over, under on threes tonight for Nathan Nelson. I think you'd have, for a guy who has more than 2 in a game, I think. Maybe more than 1. Yeah, that's the thing. KT says Nelson sank a 3 and Martin pulled him immediately. He looks at it much differently than the rest of us. Usually defense first, and if a guy doesn't do what he wants him to on defense, even though he says Nathan Nelson is always where he needs to be, and he don't get to play much longer.
All right, just Gamecock Larry remains.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Bill, who did Underwood take over for at Illinois? I know it's a name that I should know.
Is it John Gross? Is it Gross? G-R-O-C-E that got the job over Frank originally?
It's not who I was thinking about. Maybe. Illinois basketball coaches.
I want to say it's Gross.
Yeah, I think you're right. And he was pretty brutal. Yeah, he was 37 and 53. Oof. That's just in conference, I guess. See, overall 95 and 75, but 16 games under 500 in conference play.
Yeah. But I will say, yeah, Travis, Illinois was not good, but Illinois is, you're talking about a well-known program that's got a real good recruiting base and a solid conference in Chicago. They've always had deep ties to a couple of those AAU programs.
I mean, this is the best team they've had in 16 years.
How many?
Whenever Darren Williams and D. Brown were there.
D. Brown, Darren Williams. They lost to North Carolina to Sean May.
Yeah.
And was that a Felton team? Was Raymond Felton?
Yeah, Raymond Felton. Yeah, Marvin Williams. That was 2004 or 5.
Yeah.
So by far their best team since then. They're really good. Ayo Desunu. I don't know how to say his name.
That was good. No, you're right. They had a good. That was remember who the coach was then?
No.
You know who the coach was?
No, because I was 9.
It was Bill Self.
Okay.
So you knew all the players. You just didn't. Don't give me. I was 9, and you just rattled off like the starting 5 and the 6 man. I didn't know the coach.
I played as them in ESPN College Basketball 2K5.
Okay.
Luther Head. That was a big 3 for Illinois.
Illinois was good in the 90s. They'd have some great battles with the Fab Five.
Kendall Gill, baby. All right.
I didn't even know Bill Self came from Illinois, Kansas.
Yeah.
You know
Jen, I want to go and then number 4.
I actually think
want
he
the real
left,
now?
and then Bruce Weber took over and went to that.
That was bad.
1075 The Game, Twin Peaks, giving you a chance to speak your mind whenever you feel like it. Our hot take hotline there for you 24/7. Call 803-978-6654. That's 978-6654. A guy who knows it well will speak to very shortly. Our hot take hotline sponsored by Twin Peaks for the men who never settle. Go see him down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street. Before we get to the Love Chevy phone lines, I wanted you to hear a little bit more from Frank Martin about how his team should be judged in his opinion in this year.
It's a crazy year. I wish
Jermaine Kusnard, Justin Minaya out for tonight's game. 9 o'clock tip at Tennessee, 8:30 airtime here on 107.5 The Game. Kusnard with an ankle injury, Minaya with a head injury. Let's get out to our favorite 86-year-old caller, Gamecock Larry, on the Love Chevy phone lines. Hear what he has to say this morning. Gamecock Larry, please, what are your words of wisdom? Gamecock Larry, ladies and gentlemen. Words of wisdom and upset with me and Patrick. Way to go, Patrick.
Gamecock Larry said he gave up on basketball season last week. We did not talk about it at all. I'll run through the draft board real quick. I mean, there's no bother talking about basketball. Gamecock Larry already gave up on him.
Patrick comes strong. Not giving him a break this morning, huh? I think what Gamecock Larry has been hearing is me reading comments from largely other Gamecock fans who are not pleased right now. Anonymous Raj says, Gamecock Larry, love this dude. Take your tongue lashing. Take it, okay. And from other perspectives, I think we have gotten some grief this morning about being too optimistic about Gamecock basketball, but that's part of where we are with disappointing results. It's just the only way I can put that. Brian hits us up this morning on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Same number, 803-404-6100. We need to keep frank. I understand the feelings of others that are disappointed, as I am. One thing I've not heard discussed is the turnover in assistant coaching that has had an impact. And yes, COVID's had a lot to do with it. Frank needs a sharpshooter or two to make threes and get a bucket when we need it. I think things will be much better. That got us into a discussion on the live video stream, I think, during the break about Nathan Nelson possibly hopping in the lineup tonight as you have two starters out, or certainly getting more playing time. He's come in and hit some threes recently, and that led Trey to throw a Wager Wednesday idea out there for over-under amount of threes that Nathan Nelson hits tonight. I think it'll be interesting to see how he's used, how Trey Hannibal's used, Bill, how much Jalen McCrary gets playing time. All these guys have had significant playing time in a regular rotation, but without a couple of starters now in Justin Minaya and Jermaine Kusnard, I assume they will see more playing time, and it will be interesting to see. You went through it earlier in the show, how many guys played multiple minutes for Tennessee, and it's a very deep, athletic, well-coached, and just a good basketball team. How Carolina can match up tonight will be interesting from my perspective. You?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I think that the hard part here is trying to figure out what kind of team will show up. I think there's chemistry issues. I think that there's chemistry issues. It wouldn't shock me at all tonight if Kusnard being out of the lineup, as much as we talked about him being a vital piece for the team, the way he's played, if maybe roles become more defined tonight. And you just have guys who are more allowing to more allowed to play their role in shot. I don't know. I just guys, I think one of the big problems with the team is it doesn't feel like roles are defined. I'm not saying that they've given up on Frank or that they aren't playing for him. What I do think is that, and we talked about this at the beginning of the season, I just don't know if they've figured out how to play together. The chemistry, Patrick, you agree, the chemistry just doesn't look good, does it?
No. And you haven't had an alpha in years. You haven't had an alpha since Darius. I mean, it's kind of what you need.
But that's the thing that I think is frustrating. And I don't know how anyone is listening to this. We just had an anonymous texter says, Gamecock Larry is right. Anyone who acts like Frank doesn't know what he's doing is nuts and should stop talking. More success in basketball in my lifetime, and I'm not young. We pointed all these things out today. And these are facts about 6 straight 500 or better seasons, and that hasn't happened since Frank McGuire. And you do have to give a lot of credit to Frank Martin. But you also want to make the NCAA tournament. And that's why you hear complaints. And I think rightly so. Because you want to expect more. You want the program to do more. So no one's saying that Frank doesn't know what he's doing. But Patrick, when I hear you say that, it's also a coach's job to adjust to his players, right? If you don't have an alpha, then guess what? You can't keep expecting one to emerge. You got to figure that out. You got to make an adjustment. We were here. Who were we talking to the other day? That was during our marathon session, right? Pete Lumbo jumped on, talked about battlefield adjustments. It was kind of his motto. I mean, you got to make it. You got to make adjustments as you go into your personnel. And when I hear a coach tell us that he can't get the right adjustments out of his players because they don't have experience, I can accept that. But then when those same inexperienced players gain experience and don't make adjustments, well, that doesn't make any sense. And that's part of the frustration. Also, having seen tremendous adjustments being made in the past and teams improving down the stretch and not seeing that from this team, a massive disappointment, I think, for the Gamecock fan perspective. But Gamecock Larry approves of Bill's takes today, and he's excited about that. And very subtle on the live video stream. I'm just impressed you figured out how to change your name, your little caption there, Bill. Well done.
I also, once I figure that out, this could be a lot of fun.
803-404-6100. Plenty more of your thoughts as we continue our Gamecock basketball discussion ahead of tonight's game. 9 o'clock tip at Tennessee. It's the early game. It's 107.5. And I got to run to the bathroom.
107.5 The Game.
Today's an absolute dream come true. Not just to be a head football coach in the Southeastern Conference, but to be the head coach at the University of South Carolina.
Welcome, Coach.
Oh, I figured out what I'm doing on the live stream. It took 2-3 weeks to figure it out, but I've got it now. And you know why? Because I got a great night of sleep last night. That's right, with the sleep number bed. That happens each and every night. Woke up rested, refreshed, ready to have this discussion this morning. What I did not wake up ready for was to get the kids to school, and I about failed miserably doing that. But that's just part of life, right? Getting a great night of sleep, that's a major part of life. Right now, proven quality sleep, it's life-changing sleep. You can save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed plus special financing on all smart beds, subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. But it's only for a limited time at a Sleep Number store. 2 to choose from, one in Irma on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings, the other in Columbia, 2 not turned across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Put my sleep number setting, actually messed around with it, moved it down to 35 over the weekend, adjusted the bed angle, decided I didn't really like that. It was a little bit too soft, so I actually went to a firmer mattress starting on Sunday night, and I've slept a lot better. Got a great night of sleep, bumped it up to 60, moved it up to 60. You can do that with a Sleep Number bed. You can move the firmness of the mattress around, make it as comfortable as you want, fit your nightly sleeping habits. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night's sleep is truly like.
Clear.
Cats up here are an issue, man. It's like living in a jungle.
But you didn't think you could afford it. Well, think again. At Dot.
Tim in timeout.
I don't
Yeah,
know. He's
yeah,
going off somewhere. He doesn't like people looking at blank screens. No, Trey, it's out. I actually saw the cat last night. It was being chased by a dog. Probably went in its house. It's an orange tabby cat running rampant around here. There was another like gray cat staring in my door the other day.
I think I saw
Animals
Sam the
up
other
here.
day.
Oh, I hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds
I hear whatever Tim's got in the background. I can hear it.
Yeah.
Good. Now we can't hear Tim with in the background.
I'll just put my mess on mute.
You got an air conditioner or?
Yeah, I got an air conditioner in the garage this morning.
Not an air conditioner, a heater. I'm sorry. You know what I meant. An HVAC unit. You got like a little heater down there?
No, nothing is different on my end. It's just the feed. I think it's a crappy internet connection.
Benji, I see Benji's comment, but I mean, I'm not picking on you. I'm just discussing it, but that was.
There was a texter that just said, I think South Carolina and Columbia, South Carolina has everything it needs to be successful. Okay.
I mean, Benji, that you got to remember, that's 50 years ago. Not to date you, but yeah, that was the best. Frank McGuire had it going. He was going into New York and landing some guys, obviously, and we were in the ACC at that time. Different. Yeah, it's hard to. It's kind of what was the discussion we had yesterday about former national championships? Pittsburgh winning 9 of them, almost 100 years ago. 8 of them. You know, at some point, what you did that long ago kind of doesn't matter. I mean,
I was just reading about Maryland is probably going to end up having the weirdest tournament resume in NCAA history this year. They're currently 6-9 in the Big Ten, 10th place in the Big Ten, and a 500 team, but they're 35th in the net and have the most quad one or second most quad one wins in the country. It's going to be a fun.
I haven't looked at the bracketology. I can't. I mean, it has nothing to do with South Carolina, but I'm having a hard time getting into it. I'm way more into golf right now. I'm way more excited about Riviera this weekend than I am about the tournament in March.
Back in.
I'm struggling to care.
Huh?
I'm struggling to care as well.
Yeah.
All right, guys are up.
What you guys are talking about, it has to be. No, it doesn't have to be. I was going to say it has to be just our perspective, right? It's been a disappointing, frustrating season for Gamecock basketball, and that has, I think, had to have the effect on us to kind of check out on college basketball at large. But I think it's that combined with those top 13 all-time winningest programs not being ranked. At least that's where it was last week, I think. And what college basketball has become, kind of the year in, year out, you have to get introduced to the best basketball players because most of them are one and done. I think it has probably taken a back seat to a lot of people's lives just because of all the COVID concerns and the starts and stops of the season has been different. It's just taken more effort, I think, to get to know teams. And I'm guessing a lot of us just haven't been willing to do that as much. That makes sense to you, Patrick? You're nodding your head
It's
there.
It's a lot of things. It's no fans. It's huge. When ESPN has their 7 p.m. primetime game and they show the shots of the students lining up outside the arena trying to get their tickets, and it's electric. And you don't get that. You don't get Duke, Carolina, Kentucky, any of these teams being good. I mean, the Big Ten is as good as any individual conference has ever been in 1 year. I mean, Ken Pom has them ranked as the strongest conference in their history. They could have 11 tournament teams this year, but nobody really cares, because when you watch these great games, tons of great players, tons of great big men, there's just no fans, and the energy just doesn't feel the same. It's hard to be fully invested in college basketball like years past.
I'm going to take it a step further. This is the product of the one and done. This is where in years past, if I can still get into a lot of people. This is more, Patrick, you and I get into basketball, I think, a little bit heavier than a lot of people. Tim, I think you do to an extent, but I think Patrick and I get into college basketball a little bit heavier, so I can follow it. But what's happened here is, I've always said this, when you get the one and done, you don't get guys good or bad. Grayson Allen was actually great for basketball, for college basketball, because he became a villain. You would actually watch Duke to root against Grayson Allen. And Patrick, what you're saying is true. I don't like there's no freshmen that excite me. Jalen Johnson,
Well, there would be. It's the one and dones combined with the COVID and the fact that all the teams that are led by one and dones are bad this year because of it.
But you
I mean,
don't
those
even
are the
know.
only teams that get a pass. It wasn't the one and dones weren't a problem when Zion, RJ Barrett, and Cam Reddish were playing together.
That was
and they were
different.
shattering records.
No, that was totally different.
Well,
And
there
the
would be
reason-
different
the
this year
reason
if Duke and Kentucky got to practice and they were actually good like in years past.
No,
I mean,
the reason
Jalen
that
Johnson quit the season.
That was different. You and I talked about this last year. Zion was a phenomenon, an absolute
Sure.
YouTube phenomenon.
But why is this
if you
season
didn't-
worse than any other year?
You didn't have a phenomenon this year. You already had guys. You and I talked about this last
There
year.
wasn't a phenomenon last year.
No, exactly. And you and I talked about it. LaMelo Ball was overseas. RJ Hampton was overseas. James Wiseman didn't play. Anthony Edwards was the only guy in the top 5. Obi Toppin
That played college basketball, yeah.
I think Obi Toppin got in at
I was
6.
way more into it last year than this year.
Same here, Patrick. And I'm going to agree with Patrick on this one, Bill. The one and dones, this is not a new phenomenon. The new phenomenon in college basketball this year is no fans.
The reason it catches up this year is because there's already a lack of interest going in, because everything's off, as Patrick just said. Fans, everything's already off to begin with. So what you at least could normally say is, I'm going to tune in to catch so-and-so. I honestly, Goldwire, maybe. I honestly can't name a player on Duke's roster.
I mean, Matthew Hurt's been there for years.
That's thrilling. My point is, he had, but I agree. What y'all are saying, that it's not a new phenomenon, but now when you factor in everything, when you factor in no fans, I'm with you. I can't watch it. Normally, I can at least watch a Duke game because of the Cam and Crazies. That kind of makes it entertaining. Normally,
Exactly.
I'm noticing what Patrick just said more and more about a basketball game atmosphere, and how kind of just watching a game is kind of boring. Just watching the game. But at least if you had guys that resonated with you, you could still say, well, I'm going to watch that guy. I'm going to get involved to watch that guy. I don't know if Luka Garza is the guy that you're tuning in for Iowa that's scintillating to watch. He's been there for a while, and is he still front runner for Naismith? I haven't looked at the odds.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Well, I know he's fantastic. I didn't know if he was still the front runner for it. But
well, Duke, North Carolina came down to the last possession with, I think it was Jalen Johnson traveling, going up for a shot and landing. There were 7 top 28 players. I just looked at the recruiting rankings. 7 top 28 players in this class playing in that Duke UNC game. It would be normally, it's the same as we've had in years past, and it was a really good game. There was just no fans there, so when you're playing that game in Cameron, it feels like, who really cares?
yeah,
I think we can all agree that basketball, college basketball specifically, Bill, the most impacted with not having fans. But I didn't realize until you said it, Patrick, how much it's affected me just sitting on my couch flipping the channels.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to the effect of not having that crowd involved. has translated to me as a college basketball fan that, this game's not worth watching. To some degree, that plus other factors. There is some of that, Bill, what you're talking about. And obviously, Zion Williamson, I think, would change things, but he's the exception, not the rule.
I think it's also a residual effect of the end. Look, I think personally, I'm not going to go down a political path here, but I think we're getting to the end of COVID. I look at golf as the start of a brand new year, whereas I look at basketball as a way of closing out 2020. I'm kind of what Frank said in that clip about, like, man, I'm trying to figure out how to get through it. Like, I didn't know if I was going to make it. I feel like we're all looking at basketball like, once this thing ends, I feel like we move into a new, into a better part. Spring golf, I equate to spring blooming, moving on, starting over. And I think there is a part of that for me is like I watch golf now. Like, again, Riviera's going to have a fantastic field this weekend. Also, it's going to just look like warmer weather, which will make me a little bit happier. But I think there's also some of that for basketball where you've watched it go through the hard time with certain schools having starts and stops. And I don't disagree with you. It's hard. It's hard this year. And I love college basketball. And I hate it because I feel like we're going to all be deprived of back-to-back really fun March Madness seasons. Because are you guys, I mean, you're probably like me, you're interested. I'm not telling anybody I'm not going to sit down and watch. Tim, I think you told me. I hadn't paid attention. I think you told me, and I think Heath had to tell you that opening weekend of March Madness is going to be totally different.
I think they are changing the schedule a little bit with the NCAA tournament because of the bubble deal. Get the details on that. Also, one of you out there, Benji, called us up a little bit earlier, has hit us up with a couple of multiple texts taking Bill to task about how good the South Carolina basketball coaching job is. We'll conclude with that dramatic finish coming up next. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Benji, to kind of go through your point, Frank is here because he got in a massive argument with John Curry at Kansas State and wasn't going back. He wanted the Illinois job, and they took John Gross over him. He wanted the Florida State job, but they ended up that year not firing Leonard Hamilton, so he ended up with South Carolina. Dawn is different. Dawn can recruit nationally. Dawn is an entire South Carolina, even with Ray Tanner, Dawn Staley is a completely different coach than anything South Carolina's had. When you look at Olympics and you look at what she did prior to being coach, it's absolutely insane. But, I can just tell you, as we were talking about earlier, I don't know if you were listening, I would sit in the room in hospitality rooms during those AAU tournaments and hear coaches talk about the University of South Carolina, assistant coaches and things. And I'd hear them talk to South Carolina assistants and talk about, man, your budget is limited, your facilities are average, your fan base is you can't recruit. AAU coaches don't help you. It's a tough job. Tough job. It's doable. We've seen it. But I don't know. I used to think South Carolina was I never understood until I sat in those rooms and listened to assistant coaches talk about the South Carolina job and how difficult it is. And now you look at it, what they've done. I mean, since I've really paid attention when Fogler came in the last almost 30 years, you can see that. What is it, 4 NCAA tournament appearances in 30 years? 2 under Fogler, 1 under Odom, 1 under Martin. Is that right?
I could not have named in my entire life growing up until I got to South Carolina a single South Carolina basketball player. They were like the most off the radar, irrelevant seeming school, except for Michael Carrera because he lived in my neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not a.
And
I'll do it on the air, but I'm with you. I'm with you, Benji. I hear what you're saying. I think it's a bit kind of a semantics kind of deal. Let's see if we can talk it out. How's the connection? Still stinks, my mic?
You're fine.
Yeah, just kind of splattered.
Sorry.
Sorry. what you have to say overtakes that, so makes it so much better.
Lies.
Not me, man.
I'm doing what I'm doing on purpose. This is not a miss.
A what?
You'll see.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Isn't there a song like that?
It is. It's an Eric Church song. It's one. It's misunderstood. It's one word, but I changed the miss for the
All right, Kendrick.
So Benji's hit us up a couple of times here on the live stream, talking about how he thinks South Carolina is a good job. And he mentions he went to Carolina from 69 to 73, saw the best that Gamecock basketball ever had, and he thinks everything is in place for South Carolina to have a good basketball program. Bill, that's where I agree with him, and maybe it's just a semantics type thing. It's a good job. It is one of the most challenging jobs in college basketball as well, but that doesn't make it a bad job. Does that make any sense? Are we saying the same thing and just doing it differently?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't. Is it a bad job? Well, normally Frank Martin's making $3 million a year. That alone doesn't make it a bad job.
Right.
But is it an extremely difficult job? Extremely difficult. I mean, again, what is Kansas paying? What is Kansas paying Les Miles right now? If he's making $3 million, $4 million a year, does that make Kansas a bad football job?
$2.76 million a year.
That's it. Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's high for you? No. That's low for me. I thought he was making more.
Exceptionally low.
Low?
What did you think when you started to look it up?
I would have guessed 4.
I was thinking 4. Yeah.
But Maryland, as I grew up a Maryland fan, so I just compare things to Maryland. Frank Martin makes more than Mark Turgeon at Maryland. And Maryland is far and away a better job than South Carolina. It's a basketball school with tremendous resources and a link to Under Armour. And so the money, plays a big role, but that's not really the point we're talking about.
But I think we're using maybe two general terms there. Much easier to win at Maryland, but you could argue it's a better South Carolina job because the pressure to win certainly isn't what it is at Maryland, and you get paid more, right? It just depends how you look at it from that standpoint. I think we can all agree. Look, our job here is to try to evaluate what we see and call it how we see it. And if you're like Gamecock Larry and think we're all negative about Gamecock basketball, I'll take you to task on that and say we're just talking about what we're seeing. They haven't won games, and when we talk about that, the program, while it came into this year with a bunch of experienced players and talented guys, and we've seen instances of that. The Alabama game most recently, where they take them to the final seconds, and then the dominating win against Georgia, a Georgia team that just beat Mizzou by 10. We've seen instances of that, but we haven't seen any kind of consistency there. And Frank Martin doesn't have the answer. We don't have the answer. We're just trying to talk it out today and seemingly a lot of days here in the last several weeks, and maybe it's gone to months now in the basketball season. That has Bill with his head on his hand right now and looking bummed.
I was reading a tweet that came in from Zach. Said completely agree with Bill. Don't be shocked if they play better ball tonight because of Jermaine's absence. 45. And he says I've never seen a slump or whatever you want to call this before. He went from SEC Player of the Week to get him out of the lineup. I wonder about that tonight. Late game. I'm going to need a nap, but. I wonder about that tonight, if roles change a little bit. We've seen South Carolina be competitive with Tennessee in recent years, so it's hard to say.
It's hard to say is the understatement of the morning, I think, about Gamecock basketball recently. Hey, Patrick, buck up over there. We all love lacrosse.
Delaware Mount St. Mary's at noon today.
Oh,
unbelievable. Thanks for listening to the early game. Thanks for putting up with the bad feed on the live stream. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, for the record, and I was trying to get to this before we got off air. Last year, South Carolina lost at Tennessee 56-55 and beat Tennessee in Columbia 63-61. They've been competitive with them. I don't know if that'll translate tonight.
Oof, I don't have the series record, but it ain't good.
Well, that's because they absolutely throttled. They won like 15-16 against Dave Odom back in the 2000s. When it was Pearl versus Odom, it was the equivalent of me versus Shaq in basketball.
All right, guys.
Tennessee leads the all-time series 46-27. But I think
last 25 games or so is just ugly.
Oh, I would.
You got the notes right there?
I was looking to see if they've got. I was looking to see if they had year by year.
Yeah, they got the series there.
Because I agree with you, like that part right there. They've won. Tennessee's won something like, I would say, 20-something of the last. I mean, let's see if this is it. No, this is football. Tennessee, at one point, I think during Dave Odom's tenure, Tennessee won like 16 out of 17 or something ridiculous like that.
Sure. We'll look that up for tomorrow. I can get the game notes right here. I'm going to do it. We're going to finish this live stream off strong with a nerdy number for tonight's basketball series. How long are you going to go, Bill? Last 20 or last 25? Let's do the last 20.
Last 20. Starting in 2000. By the way, so Tennessee's won 4 straight.
Tennessee's won 4 straight.
Yeah.
But the last 2 were close. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right, I got it right here in front of me. So, no, last year Carolina won 63-61 at.
Oh, stupid me. Never mind. Right, yeah.
Tennessee had won the 5 straight before then. What is this? That's all I have in front of me right now. I was looking for the series through the years and see if they had it. So I think in the notes, that's all they got. That's as far back as it goes. Not cool. Yeah, that's as far back as they go. So I was hyping it up. We're not going back through 20 years.
I'm looking through memorable performances. I'm looking at the Tennessee website. It says 2011 first team All SEC guard Scotty Hobson had a bright career against South Carolina, owning a sterling 6-0 record against the Gamecocks.
Mm-hmm.
So that just tells you at that point, that was 2011. They'd won 6 straight at then. Now you just mentioned winning, I think, 5 straight.
Let's see if I can do this one here. Scouting the Volunteers. No, that's just all about this year.
I think Tennessee, I would guess they've played in the last 20 years, I'd say they've played about 35 times. I would say Tennessee in the last 20 years is something in the ballpark of like 28-7 against the Gamecocks.
Carolina hasn't won in Knoxville since 2017.
That makes it tough.
No doubt.
You know, one thing I've noticed, South Carolina doesn't have they didn't do a media guy that you can even look at online this year.
There you go.
Not looking at the right place.
You figured it out, man. That's the missing link.
What?
I often said that about Bill.
No media guy.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, sorry, couldn't for you guys. Thanks for checking it out. Raphael, appreciate it. Travis, same with you.
Bill,
Okay.
you missed it. We got top 62 right now.
He's out of control. Get it down to 50, man. What are you doing?
I got a top 50.
Okay.
Pick a random number between 1 and 62.
Who is your 54th highest rated NFL prospect this year?
That's going to be Creed Humphrey, center from Oklahoma, who's been a 4-year starter there for them.
Oh, man, he is so much better than the center from Texas. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Sam Cosmi's a pretty good tackle for Texas, though. He should be a second-round pick.
Unbelievable.
Is Tennessee minus 13 tonight?
Woo! That's a big number. Good luck with that, Craig. See you guys.
As you guys
All right,
later.
that's it.